Ready? It's a beautiful night for football here in Dunlap. Another non-conference bout coming your way in week 2 here in Central Illinois. Tonight, the Rocks of Rock Island come to town to take on the Dunlap Eagles of the Mid-Illini Conference. Alongside Teddy Ball, I'm Gavin Russell. And Teddy, fantastic for you to be here tonight. Fantastic for all of our viewers joining us wherever you may be. You're joining us here in the booth, and we're just a few minutes from kickoff, Teddy. We had a great week 1, but things are only getting better as we get into the season.
Absolutely. Really excited for week 2. We got a really good game here between Dunlap and Rock Island. Can't wait to get into that, but just going to be a great week 2.
It is going to be a great week 2. Traditionally, Mid-Illini Conference teams will play 2 non-conference games before they get into the conference slate. Really, that's a really good test, for a team like Dunlap to see a variety of different teams. Last week, Dunlap took on Galesburg. Big winners in that game, 54-13. Maybe some thoughts from week 1, Teddy.
Really great game for Dunlap. They showed it on all levels, offensively, defensively. They were there, and they're hoping to bring that to today's game against the Rock Island team that they saw last year. They lost last year, but this is an entirely new Dunlap team, Gavin.
It really is. We're going to get into that and much more. As for Rock Island, they were big losers in week 1. They had a lot of turnover, brand new head coach this year, so maybe just trying to turn the tide and forget about week 1.
Absolutely. It's a long season. You have time to adjust, but obviously you want to get off to a good start. Week 1 wasn't it, but they have a chance to get back into the even column here in week 2.
Indeed, the energy here is fantastic, Teddy. The bleachers are packed. The home opener here at Dunlap. Rock Island seemed to travel well here. A beautiful evening. I would put it maybe 80 degrees, much better than what we had last week. But we've got a lot of things outside of just the football. We've had some pork chops. We've had some good experiences here in Dunlap. We'll share that throughout our broadcast tonight. We've got a great crew. Teddy Ball, Rodrigo Perez here in the booth with you. But we're getting set for football. The Eagles are about ready to take the field. We'll have all of this and more. Rock Island and Dunlap on ClutchSportsIL.com. Podcast, folks. Alongside Teddy Ball, I'm Gavin Russell. Rock Island and Dunlap coming your way on ClutchSportsIL.com this evening. Thanks so much for joining us. You get a look there. The Dunlap High School Marching Band cheerleaders and pom squad ready to welcome the Eagles for the home opener. Big inflatable right there, Teddy. I believe that's a new-looking inflatable.
Yeah, they had a really big one last year, but this looks pretty impressive. That might be the biggest inflatable at a high school level, at least in the area. Pretty cool looking.
Indeed. They're getting ready to run through it. Players are going to make their way there to the end zone. But, Teddy, a lot to get to is on the other side of things, the Rocks take the field, much to the chagrin of the Dunlap supporters. Rocks tonight dressed in their white road uniforms as they pump up the opposing boos as they're ready to try to get their first win of the season. But let's get into it, Teddy. A lot to discuss here. Let's start with Rock Island. They lost the big one in week 1 to Manuka. Not the way they wanted to start things, but they do have a brand new head coach. They've got a lot of new starters this year leading them this season. Fritz Diudonde, the new head coach for the Rocks, taking over for Ben Hammer, who departed after last season. And Fritz has a history up in the Rock Island area. Coached Allman for a while, was also a coordinator, defensive coordinator for the Rocks a few years back. So a lot of new things, a lot of things to figure out for Rock Island, but you just hope you put it together quickly.
Exactly. We saw this last week as well with SHG, a new coach there. And although we don't know the outcome of this game, it can take some time to get adjusted. But overall, like I said in the pre-open here, it does translate throughout the rest of the season. You're able to improve and get more comfortable with your team.
Indeed, looking at some of the top players for Rock Island. Now, bit of a difference at quarterback for Rock Island. They were expected to bring back a starter from last season. That's number 10, Connor Duilio. He's a senior this season, although over the summer, Ken Jacoby reports, reporter up from Rock Island, he was playing baseball. He's a very good baseball player, plays really well for Rock Island baseball team. He played a lot of baseball this summer, so the starting job, and at least initially, goes to Javion Clark-Pugh. maybe a bit of a rocky week one, excuse the pun there, but he's really starting to fill in.
Absolutely. A new quarterback is going to be definitely a tough situation to go right into. No one goes into a quarterback position and just balls out right away. So growing pains in week one, going into week two, you know what to expect a little bit. He was under a lot of pressure in that week one game, having to use his legs on quite a few plays, but you got to trust in your quarterback, especially if you make that decision in the offseason that he can improve throughout the season.
Indeed, and Javion Clark-Pugh is a junior, 6'3", 190, so he's got a really, really good physical build. Guy that can use his legs very well, as you mentioned, scrambled a lot with his arm last week in week one, 95 yards passing, a touchdown and an interception. Maybe, again, not the start that you wanted, although there's a chance we could see Connor Duilio sometime in this game. It's possible, and maybe going forward for Rock Island. Other notable players to watch, Amari Overton, 6'2", 185 senior at tight end. He's been getting a few college looks in the backfield for the Rocks, and is G.K. Tarr, 5'9", 180 senior running back. He'll be wearing number 2. How about the home side of things, the Dunlap Eagles? Dunlap is not a senior-heavy team. They don't have experience. They're not going to tell you they have experience. 9 seniors on this Dunlap roster, but perhaps the brightest future in Central Illinois are the Dunlap Eagles.
Absolutely. Last season, pretty solid year for Dunlap as well, but this season it looks like there's a wide open middle lineup that they're able to take. Last season, obviously, we saw Pekin with their 11-0, 11-1 season. You saw Washington always competitive, but this year it really comes down to starting off early. You can win these first 2 weeks, especially in the way they did in week one. It'll be huge for the Dunlap Eagles in the Middle Illini Conference race.
Indeed it will be, and they are definitely led by a couple of big up-and-coming stars, sophomores. They have not one but 2 quarterbacks to look at. That's Max Sutter and John Bargan. These guys can do it all. They're versatile. They are leaders of the offense. They're just impressive.
Absolutely. Usually you don't see too many teams with 2 quarterbacks in their system as Dunlap runs out onto the field now for the first time this season. But you usually don't see 2 quarterbacks in a system, and now we have a chance to see 2 different teams with that in their on their roster with Rock Island and Dunlap here tonight.
Indeed. Last week it was a big week for John Bargan. John Bargan was able to put up some impressive numbers in week one, getting most of the throwing opportunities. Now Max Sutter, on the other hand, Sutter is a quarterback, but also is able to play wide receiver. He's also a linebacker on the defense, so just says their versatility.
Absolutely, and me and you were talking before the game, just the level of packages you can make with these 2 quarterbacks. You could put 2 quarterbacks in the backfield. I don't think that would be I don't think any team has ever done that before. 2 quarterbacks in one backfield, that's impressive, but they have the ability to do that with the versatility of Max Sutter and John Bargan.
Indeed, and they've got plenty of other great players to watch. Last week, Jackson Oldham came up huge, 166 rushing yards. We'll have some stats and stuff for you as we get throughout the game and some top performers from week one. But for now, let's get a quick word for our great sponsors at Domino's. Domino's is the official title sponsor of Clutch Sports Media's Game of the Week. Tonight, Rock Island and Dunlap going at it. Domino's, many area locations to choose from, including 2 locations in Rock Island and the new location in North Peoria. Try their new pepperoni stuffed cheesy bread for a limited time. Go to Domino's.com. Teddy, we broke down some of the initial stuff, but now it's time for football. Enough of us talking and more. These guys getting down on the gridiron tonight. Teddy, maybe a couple thoughts as we get into kickoff, maybe a couple keys, as it looks like Rock Island will be the first team to boot it away.
Really just my initial thoughts, Gavin, are just how excited I am that we're finally back into football. Week one, you get in there, you're a little nervous, you're a little excited for everything, but now it is week 2. We are prepared, and both these teams have seen action so far on the year. But as for Rock Island, I would say for them, last game, they did have a really rough loss, 41-7 loss to Manuka. But I would say overall on offense, you got to try to protect your quarterback and Clark-Pugh, and defensively they showed promise. They showed promise last week in the secondary, being able to get an interception and bat down some balls. As Dunlap breaks free, might have a chance. He's still going.
Dunlap is going to have a big return. Looks like he may get brought down on the opposite 40. Huge return, Gabe Munoz. starts out the game with a bang. Gets a standing ovation from the Dunlap faithful.
What a return there for Gabe Munoz. Great way to open up your home campaign. Last season, in week 1, we saw Pekin versus Rock Island, and Rock Island were the ones that took a kick return all the way back to the house. So it looks like, not to the house, but a deep kick return. Now it was Dunlap getting their taste here on the kick return.
Great way to set up your offense, an offense that's only getting better. Led by, again, the 2 sophomore quarterbacks, Max Sutter and John Bargan. So don't expect to see any consistency at quarterback tonight. It's going to be Max Sutter to start things off. 2 men in the backfield, one to his left, one to his right. Takes the snap, is going to hand off the ball. Finds some space on the outside. He's got nothing but green grass to run. Kendall Netters all the way to the end zone. Touchdown, Dunlap.
Beautiful blocking there by the left tackle, just being able to completely eliminate the run-stopping ability of the Rocks here. But overall, great play. That's exactly how you start off a game at home. First play from scrimmage, and you were able to score. Insanely impressive.
Flag on the play did not affect the touchdown. It was a sideline warning to Dunlap. Perhaps a few players getting a little overeager and jumping out on the field. Kendall Netters taking it to the house. 41 yards on the opening play from scrimmage. How about that, Teddy? Already rolling here in week 2.
You know, back-to-back weeks now, Gavin, we've seen a play on the first play from scrimmage. Actually, I think last week it was the second play from scrimmage after a deep kick return for Normal Community, and now it's Dunlap. But we saw what Normal Community did last year, and Dunlap is looking to do the exact same thing.
Dunlap with an excellent start here in week 2 as they're able to pick up an excellent kick return and then a single play touchdown run from Kendall Netters. This junior, 5'7", 170, one of the many parts that'll be back next season for the Eagles. Rock Island will get their first look on offense coming up here. Probably not the way that first-year head coach of the Rocks, Fritz Diudone, wanted to start the game, being the former defensive coordinator of the Rocks. A lot of Rock Island ties, great part to their community, and looking to turn things back around after, again, a lot of turnover from a season ago. Ben Hammer leaving the program to a very, very capable and experienced head coach. We'll see if his group can figure it out and respond in a hostile environment on the road here in week 2. Eagles ready to kick it away. The whistle blows, and here we go. Squib kick, gonna let it bounce a couple times. Gonna get a couple blocks, makes a couple of cuts, and ultimately a decent return will be okay. Starting field position there for Rock Island, but a nice job by Dunlap to come in and make the stop. Teddy, I know you mentioned a couple of keys. What would you like to see here, though, on this first drive for the Rocks? Maybe run pass? What do you think?
Really just try to get your momentum going early. Last week, Dunlap let up 136 rushing yards. Pretty solid number, but, you know, you're able to run on them. I don't know if you're going to be able to run like crazy on this Dunlap team, but just see what works and get things tested. You got to try to, obviously, even the score, but the first run there is a tackle for loss.
Nothing going on there in the very first run.
Here's Morrison. On the stop for the Eagles.
Isaiah Duarte taking the ball. Had to get a number on that one there. There's running backs with numbers 25 and 26 on Rock Island, so, of course, a little confusion perhaps. Javion Clark-Pugh, though, the junior, coming for his second varsity start. And again a junior, so he's got some room to grow. We get a stoppage in play here. And a player substitution, perhaps equipment malfunction or something of that nature. Some nice receivers, though, for Rock Island. They do have some experience on that front. Joe Allen, he also plays basketball. They are going to air it out. go over to the sideline and a little bit overthrown. Looking for Nayo Gushima. Fiston Naogashima, the 5'10 senior, couldn't haul it in.
Like we said, for the keys of this drive, like you want to be able to get some. You never want to start off with exclusively a pass game, even if it works really well. You want to be able to mix it in, and they tried to run it, try to pass it. So far, neither one has been successful, but still early on in this drive.
Very early in this game, indeed, Teddy. Just a couple minutes in, and you're probably wondering, score bugs in air if you're just joining us. Nope, one play touchdown for Dunlap. Clark Pugh drops back, throws over the middle, tipped. It's a 50-50 ball. Tipped up the middle. Getting a hand on it was Joe Weeks. And it'll be punt time for the Rocks. Like what you see there if you're Dunlap. And we didn't really even get a chance to settle into the Dunlap offense. They'll likely get the ball back here. Back to return Ryan Dietz and Gabe Munoz. They ran the ball, but they also have a big passing attack. And passing, Teddy, has become more important than ever here kind of in the modern game of high school football. A lot more teams are running a spread offense. A bit of a running punt here. Sent back deep. Dunlap will not try to field it. It's going to take a Rocks bounce. And this one's going to get back near the 10-yard line. They'll pick it up at the 11 or 12-yard line. Flag on the play.
Gotta say though, what a beautiful punt that was. You see a lot of on the run throws, but not a lot of on the run punts. That would still landed on the 12-yard line.
Officials deliberating. It's a personal foul against the Rocks. So it looks like that will move them forward. Already some mistakes, and Teddy, we were discussing off the air pregame. Penalties are going to be a big thing for both teams. The last couple seasons for Dunlap, they've been plagued by penalties. You know, even just the little ones, holds, false starts, offsides. Rock Island, of course, doesn't want to get into a habit of that. I wouldn't say they're necessarily prone to that, or at least what I've noticed. But, again, this is a new season. You don't want to get into that habit.
Absolutely. Penalties are something that can make a really, really good team into just an average team, just because you can just shoot yourself on the foot on those penalties. That's definitely not something you want to do, and it's something you want to get out of the habit of early on in the season.
Max Sutter, similar looking formation to their first play. They're going to go with the same play once again, but the Piles moving forward once again. It was Netters. Looked like almost the exact same play, Teddy. They ran their first play from scrimmage. Kind of an outside misdirection run. And on cue, a hold from Dunlap. And again, both teams with some early penalties. Again, not what you want to see if you're either head coach.
Exactly, especially if you're going to be a run-heavy team, which they've looked like so far. It's still early, but you know they saw the success of that first drive, the one-play drive, and maybe go back to it. So if you're going to be a run-heavy team, you're probably not going to get a whole lot of yards every single play until you break one off like that one, but those penalties can definitely hurt you.
2 plays, 2 penalties, 1 each side. Rocks, 5-man rush. They handed up the middle, and a short gain right there. Not going to get much back. Oldham is the ball carrier. We'll get more into him later. Oldham, a junior, and taking over for some graduated seniors. Dunlap had a lot of really good seniors last season. Madden Burke was the quarterback. Graham Glover, one of the receivers. Braden Orr in the backfield. So we got a lot of new faces for the Eagles. Sutter takes it, drops back. He's going to pass it. Goes deep over the middle. Just overthrows his man.
Pass incomplete.
Had nobody in front of him. Munoz just was a step behind.
A little trip up there at the end of the play, but looks like everybody's okay. I will say, Gavin, out of these two teams, or this game especially, really good uniforms. I like Rock Island's uniforms. They have a classic look to them, and we know Dunlap has quite a few uniform variations that they rock regularly. good matchup for uniforms.
Indeed. We'll get more into that after this third down play. I'm a big uniform proponent for sure. Dunlap wants to try to get some yardage back here on third down. Looking to pass again. Sutter has got to scramble. He's scrambling and gets tripped up. May have had a few extra yards if he didn't trip on the turf. Looks a little frustrated. It's going to bring the Dunlap punt unit out. So Rocks make a stand after not so great opening defensive drive for Rock Island. But back to your point about the uniforms, you know, I got to say I'm a big fan of the way they've used the yellowish gold on the helmets. Very clean look. Then and again, a very clean look in its own right. Nice looking helmets for Dunlap.
Absolutely. I think Rock Island, I kind of see some, besides the colors, I see some LSU inspiration in there.
And a flag immediately.
Flag in the play.
Rock Island pointing over at Dunlap side of things, so might make this punt a little more difficult. False start is the call.
False start on the Eagles.
I'm not sure if you can tell there on your camera, but the logos and the decals on the Dunlap helmets, like the wings of an eagle, but just a nice gold color, just really jives well. Well, I will say a black Dunlap uniform would also look pretty nice. Not sure if they have that or not.
I think black uniforms in general just look so clean for any team.
Indeed. Way back there, a big punt, and no return is going to happen on that one. A nice punt.
Ball down to the 21-yard line.
And Rock Island will take over on the opposite side of the field. Trading sides here.
They include Bart Optical, Stanley Stever, Country Companies, Agent Josh Rickenau, Overlander Electric, Anytime Fitness, Burnham Surgical Arts.
Let's talk about the head coach of Dunlap, Brett Cazalet. He's been in the mix in the Mid-Illini Conference for a while. You get a look there on your screen. Brett Cazalet, over the years, 14th season here in Dunlap, he's made 10 playoff berths in 13 full seasons, the COVID year not included. He was a runner-up in 2017 Class 5A. First run here from Rock Island is going to be back to the line of scrimmage. But talk about legendary coaches in the Mid-Illini Conference. Of course, you're immediately going to go to Darryl Crouch, who's in his final season at Washington, Doug Nutter in Pekin. But Brett Cazalet is definitely among the top ones, one of the longer tenured coaches, and has just produced a high-quality football team year in and year out.
Absolutely. I feel like the top 5 teams in the Mid-Illini on an average year-to-year basis have always just been so competitive. Obviously, sometimes there's teams that stand out in a particular season, but the Metamoras, Dunlaps, Morton, Washington, and Pekins of the Mid-Illini have just been really, really good for the past, really just the existence of the Mid-Illini as we know it.
Indeed. Cazalet has been a big part of that. Looking to get back to the promised land. It's been a while for Dunlap with a playoff win. They've made the playoffs since their 5A runner-up. But again, impressive tenure from Cazalet and company. Rock Island not doing a whole lot here early on. G.K. Tarr not getting a bulk of the carries, although he was listed the starter as the running back. Short runs. Ball is fumbled on the transition. Looked like it was a play-action attempt, and little things like that, Teddy. Again, still a young starter, and Javion Clark-Pugh. Little kinks like that will eventually find themselves to get worked out.
Absolutely. You'll get those resolved throughout the season, and really looked like that one just hit on the side of the running back. Didn't maybe try to take the ball a little bit. Pugh tried to pull it out. Just kinks in the offense so far.
Another punt for the Rocks. Nearly botched. This one's going to be skyrocketed up. Could have been blocked. And it had some backspin, fortunately. Joe Allen was there to hold it, and it's going to be right about midfield for Dunlap as they'll get started once again. While we have a second change of possession here, let's get a quick word first for our sponsor at Domino's. Domino's, with a number of area locations, including locations in Rock Island and a location in North Peoria, as well as abroad. Choose Domino's next time you might be feeling hungry. I know I'm always feeling hungry, and I'm always looking for something to eat, so Domino's can be your choice. Also by Adam Merrick Realty. If you're selling a luxury home, call Adam Merrick Real Estate. Adam and his team have been ranked by Real Trends as one of the top 25 teams in the country. Adam has sold over 14,000 homes in the past 20 years. Adam Merrick knows the luxury market better than the average agent. Next time you're looking to get your house sold, do it right. He'll sell your house in 59 days or he'll buy it. Call Adam Merrick Realty or adammerrick.com. Also by CSM Overtime. Just announcing we are having a flash sale. Yes, you heard that correctly. A flash sale going on right now, clutchsportsil.com. Brand new released CSM Overtime. You can get a discount coming up, as you see right there on your screen, CSM Week 2 as a promo code to save 50% for your first monthly plan. That's CSM Week 2 only at clutchsportsil.com right now. We'll get more into that later, but flash sale happening. Here's Bargan rolling out, throws, and a flag is thrown.
Looks like he was past the line of scrimmage on that throw. Couldn't decide if he wanted to throw it or he wanted to run for it. Just a little too late there.
And kind of had to get rid of it, otherwise he was going to get run over by a landslide of rocks that came in. Going to have rock puns all evening, folks, but I won't quit my day job. It will be a holding call. Perhaps could have gone either way. Dunlap a little confused, but I think either way you're going to get a penalty on that.
Yeah, we got to clean it up. As we mentioned before, not the flag I was expecting to get called, but
again,
flag nonetheless.
Holds have been a problem in the past for Dunlap, and 2 holds early on in this game. Brett Kazelin's not going to be particularly fond of that. But his team is in the lead in the first quarter, so he probably can overlook it to a degree. Bargan takes it, hands it off, up the middle, and nowhere to go. Nice job right there. Try to get a number in on the tackle. Isaiah Samuelson will be coming in with the tackle right up the middle. It's a 6'2", 225 senior, big imposing body. See him right there, 46. Big guy on defensive edge. Bring up a 2nd and long. More than a first down length to go. Bargan drops back. He's going to throw it over the middle. And can't hit his man.
Pass incomplete.
Nothing going for Bargan. Bargan getting his first drive of the game. And again, alternating quarterbacks. The 2 standout sophomores, Max Sutter, John Bargan. Neither has made a splash yet in this game with the arm. It's been Kendall Netter's 41-yard touchdown run is the difference so far.
It's still really early, but as the famous saying goes, if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have none. But I'm not sure how that fits into this Dunlap team. Maybe they get a decent run here, breaks through a couple tackles, but maybe they can be the team that figures it out. A 2-quarterback system in the high school level could be revolutionary in some ways.
And you don't get that by mistake. You're very fortunate to have just 1 good quarterback in your program, let alone 2 at the same time that are in the same class. Very, very rare. Usually if a player is that skilled, then they may convert him to another position, but Brett Kazelin, no, has 2 guys that are just both too good at quarterback to switch him to something else. High snap, punt will get away. It's going to be a good one. Nogashima did not want to field it, probably a wise choice, and flipping sides of the field again. And all things considered, Teddy, as much as it was a rocky start, I don't know why my mind keeps going there first, but a rocky start for the Rocks. They've rebounded really well. They've made stops on the defensive side. They haven't really given up many positive plays, just haven't figured it out offensively.
Yeah, they've been offensively, like we said, we're only about
Please check them out.
6-7 minutes into the game here, but defensively after that first drive, really after that first play, they've really stepped up their game and tried to even it out here, which they've done defensively.
Pugh, he's got some pressure, and he's going to be sacked. Right back about the 2-yard line. Dazon McCaston with the sack, and he had a big week 1 for the Eagles. 6.5 tackles, a couple tackles for loss in week 1 for the sophomore. Caston is, as a sophomore, 15 or 16-year-old most likely, 6 foot 225. That's a big human being coming at you. And the Rocks are pinned up against the goal line.
And Gavin, we saw this last week for the Rocks. They really, one of their biggest struggles was protecting the quarterback. Javion Clark-Pugh was really just scrambling and trying to run away for his life in a lot of instances. And so we see a flag come out now.
Flag fest here early on in Dunlap. Delay a game, and they can't go back much further before
take the ball back to the 1-yard line.
They get into the end zone, so just half the distance. Really, they're about as far back as they can go.
Really, if I'm Dunlap, I'm sending an all-out blitz, try to get that safety right here. Looks like that's what they do.
Ball is loose. Dunlap says they have it. They do have it. Dunlap recovers the fumble right on the doorstep of the goal line. And a golden opportunity for Dunlap to go up 2 touchdowns, forcing the turnover.
Can't get better field position than that to start a drive. And got to give credit to Dunlap defensively. They've pitched a shutout so far against Rock Island. They've obviously, their special teams have been really good at punting it in really great field position, but you got to give credit to the defense, a sack and now a fumble recovery in just 2 plays.
If my memory serves correct, Rock Island without a first down so far in this game on 3 drives. It'll be John Bargan on the short field, just 2 yards to go. I'd have to imagine a run could be coming. Full house here, just 1 receiver. Hands it off up the middle. Touchdown Dunlap.
Touchdown Eagles!
And the Eagles extend their lead 13-0.
Really, those last 2 drives for Dunlap looked like Rock Island might have been able to slow him down just a little bit, but so far, at least on this last drive and the very first drive, they keep playing like that and their special teams able to put them in great positions, they should be pretty golden.
They'll attempt to make this a 14-0 game. As we're going to get some stoppage here. And a timeout for Dunlap. They want to figure out what they're doing here on their extra point effort. Let's get a quick word while we got a stoppage in play, starting with Domino's. Domino's has plenty of options to choose from and plenty of locations to go get your pizza from. 2 Rock Island locations and a location in North Peoria would be the closest to majority of our viewing area, but perhaps you're abroad elsewhere. Locations across Peoria, Washington, Morton, and more. You're feeling hungry and want something new to try the new pepperoni stuffed cheesy bread for a limited time only. Try any stuffed cheesy breads for just $1.99. You can find that deal and many other awesome deals and coupons on Domino's.com. Also by Adam Merrick Realty. Adam Merrick's team has sold over 14,000 homes in the past 20 years. Adam Merrick's team knows the luxury market better than the average agent. You can go to AdamMerrick.com to learn more today.
I'll tell you what, Gavin, going back to that Domino's. I know last week I mentioned the pasta. There's an underrated fact about Domino's. Obviously the wings as well. But talk about food here. How about these pork chops? We had a pork chop review last week in normal. The extra point is good.
Kick is up and good. It's 14-0 Eagles. They take advantage of a fumble on the doorstep and cash in for a touchdown on just 1 play. So Dunlap has kept things on the ground. Dunwell defensively, they're up 14-0. But Teddy, let's get back to the pork chops. And, you know, I think I want to officially declare each location that I am attending. Perhaps you're watching from another viewing area or different team. I want to make it known if we make a stop at your school, we're trying your pork chop. And forbid you don't have a pork chop, which would be an ultimate travesty. But we're out here to review them each and every week. Last week, Normal Community set the bar pretty high. I rated it an 8.5. I'm pretty particular about my food. Today, the pork chop, really solid, really solid. I can get into the specifics in a little bit, but I'd give it a 7.
It's still a solid number. It's Normal Community, especially last year when we saw them in the Peak at Normal game. We tried their pork chop, reviewed it then. Great pork chop. I think I gave it a 9 last year.
We'll get more into that in a moment. And it's a squib kick, and it'll immediately be blown dead. Fielding it right there was Santana Smith, but he was on the ground, so the play is over immediately. But indeed, a very good pork chop here at Dunlap High School. We'll get more into the specifics on that later. Teddy is still yet to try his, so he's awaiting perhaps a halftime pork chop or a live on-air review. Our producer, Rodrigo Perez, had one. We'll get his weigh in a little bit later. But great hospitality here at Dunlap. Can't thank them enough for allowing us to come out this evening and broadcast the football game for our viewing audience wherever you may be. Rock Island would like to put some points on the board, perhaps a first down. Clark Pugh is going to hand it off and immediately met. Looks like that was G.K. Tarr on the carry. But back to the line of scrimmage. Teddy, we've noticed they've gone to the pass a couple times. It's been incomplete on all of the attempts so far from Clark Pugh. The runs, on the other hand, mostly between the tackles, and it just hasn't been working. Do you potentially switch it up at some point?
I think so. They haven't really experimented too much with the pass, and just because the first few plays don't go the way you want doesn't mean you got to stop trying. And passing game is a big part of any team. As a flag goes up there, another one.
And that run went nowhere. They did try to switch it up that time, went with a pitch to the far side, though. And Rock Island, a team with so many athletes, looks like it'll be an illegal formation or illegal shift here on Rock Island, so that'll back them up. But you would think with so many athletes on your team, you want to try to work towards the side of the field that has more room to run, more space to make a move. So far, they've been really kind of just working the short side of the field.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of the few throws that we have seen have been over the middle and to the outside. We saw like about a 5-yard out attempt that wasn't on the money. But even with the run game, like you said, it's right up the middle and into just a crowd of Dunlap defenders. They've done a good job at stopping that run, as we just saw on the outside, being able to track them down and stop them in their tracks.
They go with the spread here. 3 receivers and a tight end. Clark Pugh goes over the middle, and that will be a catch in the first down of the game. A quick pass and catch right there. Amari Overton, the tight end, went with a bit of a spread, and there's some positive yardage for the Rocks.
Like we just said, try to go back to that pass, and I'm glad that they were thinking the same thing. Clark Pugh, like we mentioned, he's a junior with a lot to learn, but he has a very strong arm and good intuition for the game, knows when to get out of there and when to stay in the pocket, so be a good key player for the Rocks for years to come, next 2 years.
Back to Tarr. He's got some room to run. He's still going, and he'll have enough for right around a first down.
Tarr, the ball carrier.
Finally, the run game gets going, and the Rock Island players got a little mojo the last couple plays. Some fist bumps, high fives after a couple of successful plays. And you talked about just getting things rolling. It's definitely not too late. We've got plenty of time left to go in this game, not even out of the first quarter. This could be the drive to jumpstart things.
Absolutely. That was ideal for them, too, to get the run game going. You don't want them to expect the pass if that's going to be what you're successful at. So right there, all over it in the backfield. Another tackle for loss for Dunlap.
Perhaps just trying to assess the play calling here as The Eagles were right on the doorstep. The clock was not rolling. We're having
technical difficulties here in the press box.
The press box is having some technical difficulties with the game clock. Now our scoreboard has been completely eliminated. How about that?
Well, at this point, looks like a very even game. And now it's back to 14-0.
Blank score there for a minute. They will attempt to effort the clock back on as it'll keep rolling now. A few seconds roll off the clock, just a shade over 2 minutes. 2nd and 11 from the Rocks. Clark Pugh drops back, quick throw, and it's going to be a short gain.
Pass complete.
It's going to make it a more manageable 3rd down. Looked like Joe Allen on the reception.
Short gain.
For the pass attempts we've seen so far, he's done a good job at getting it out of there before the Dunlap pass rush is able to get to him. They're getting to him pretty fast. It's just those routes he's got drawn up, able to get it out even faster.
It's a likely developing Rock Island line. 2 juniors on the line, although there are 3 seniors in the starters. Clark Pugh drops back. Pressure. Goes deep. Does he have a man? Can't haul it in.
Pass incomplete.
Right on the money. That's the arm we were talking about that Clark Pugh possesses. Just got to give him a little bit of time and let him make those plays. Gavin, one thing I haven't mentioned so far when looking up some stuff about the Rocks last season, and they went 4-5, but the games they won pretty handily, and the games they lost seemed to get away from them quite a bit. So between these two teams, or between Rock Island and Dunlap, it starts to slip away a little bit, 14-0, but they're driving down the field. For Rock Island, the big key for them this season as a whole is just try to stay in those games.
Throw on the run. Can't haul it in. It was a 4th down heave on the run. Clark Pugh with about as good of a throw as you can make in that situation. As you mentioned, though, he's got an arm really starting to come together. And they turned it over on downs, probably the right call. The Rock Island defense has settled in for the most part. The 1 touchdown for Dunlap was on the 2-yard line. So really only 1 successful normal scoring drive, you could say. Rock Island's offense has been slim tonight. They wanted to try to keep it going. Progress nonetheless. As Dunlap takes back over and trying to knife through what's been a pretty stout Rocks defense the last couple of drives, aside from the short touchdown. Drops back. Sutter has it. Throws over the middle. Has his man. And it'll be enough for right around a 1st down. See where they spot him at.
Number 1, Dawson Marmion there. The reception.
Dawson Marmion with the reception. Marmion had a big week 1 as well. Was the favorite target of co-QBs Max Sutter and John Bargan. I believe he hauled 3 touchdowns in. No, just 1 touchdown. But he had some big receptions. 118 receiving yards in week 1. Marmion's going to be one of the favorite targets this year in a very deep Dunlap receiver room. Hands it off up the middle. Space to run. There goes Netters. He's going. He's still going. Another touchdown. Another long touchdown run for Kendall Netters.
The 2nd one there for him. Just a great night overall. We see the speed that he possesses on that one. Seemed like he got through. There are 2 defenders. He's able to get right through, and 1 defender tried to grab his jersey, just wasn't there. Got to give him credit. That speed was insane.
51-yard touchdown run for Kendall Netters. He thought it'd be hard to top a 41-yard touchdown run. Now he added 10 extra yards to that, no problem. Broke some tackles, shed a couple men. Nobody brought him down. It's up And it is good.
The kick is good.
And Eagles settle right back in.
Our score, Dunlap 21.
Giving the Rocks some compliments defensively, and Dunlap says, hey, we're not asleep.
This is why Dunlap was one of the most hyped up teams in the Mid-Illini going into the season. Last game, obviously, a dominant win, and so far tonight, although the Rocks have shown some promise, and I would say they've gotten not necessarily unlucky, but Dunlap has just hit them on perfect situations, but that one was all Dunlap, and got to give him credit. 51 yards.
Now, a lot of things got to go right to put together a run like that, especially a run right up the middle. I don't know the netter's ever left the hash marks on the field. So he literally took it through the middle of the Rocks defense, which, again, you don't see that oh so often.
It's something we mentioned in that first, I think it was 22-yard rush attempt. Wait, that's not right. You said 41?
41, yeah.
41-yard rush attempt was just great blocking as I accidentally turned the light on here in the booth.
And this one's another short kick. Rock Island will try to get a return, and they'll get up to around the 40-yard line.
Kick is returned out just short of the 40-yard line.
So Rock Island with 32 seconds to go here in the first quarter will try to scratch out a play for some positive yardage to end things in the first frame. Probably could be worse, all things considered, Teddy, if you're Rock Island, and just about as good as you'd want it to go for Dunlap. A couple of stalled out drives, but you have that. Not going to be perfect. And for the most part, they've gotten the big plays when they needed them most. Kendall Netters definitely making his case early front runner for player of the game.
Just to continue with that, last week it was Jackson Oldham, the other running back for Dunlap, that had 166 yards and 3 touchdowns on 11 carries. But Kendall Netters looking to put his name in the mix.
And I think that's probably perhaps the most dangerous thing about Dunlap. You're thinking to yourself, oh, they don't have a lot of seniors. Not a lot going on as the first quarter comes to a close here in Dunlap. 21-zip Eagles defending the home field well. But kind of talking about Dunlap a little bit more, as we'll just get a quick word for our sponsors here momentarily. But Dunlap has a lot of players in the mix, and you really don't know who could hurt you on any given night. It's really just a roll of the dice. We'll get to more of that in just a second, but how about a quick word for our sponsor at Domino's. Domino's is your choice for dinner or next time you're feeling hungry anytime. Domino's.com is the place to be. Locations in Rock Island, 2 of them to be exact. North Peoria, local here to Dunlap, as well as many others across the area. Again, Domino's.com. Check out all their specials, coupons, and lots of great food. Also by Adam Merrick Realty. Adam Merrick, local here to Central Illinois, sold over 14,000 homes, and they'll sell your house guaranteed. Adam's the only agent in today's market to put his money where his mouth is. If he can't sell your home in 59 days, Adam will buy it, taking all the stress and pressure off of you. Especially with houses and things nowadays, a struggle to buy and sell. Adam has got your back. Time is money, so when you want to sell your home, call Adam Merrick Real Estate or AdamMerrick.com. And again, as we mentioned earlier, flash sale right up there on your screen, CSM Week 2. ClutchSportsAl.com for CSM Overtime, 50% off your first monthly plan. Back to the action. Allen gets a pass and catch to start things out in the second quarter. And we haven't really touched on CSM Overtime. We'll get to more of that at halftime. But we flashed it up a couple times, and we'll get to more in depth. But if you got access to your phone, laptop, desktop computer, or tablet, head to ClutchSportsAl.com right now for a discount on your first month subscription of CSM Overtime. Recently released platform from Clutch Sports Media with many articles, video highlights, picture galleries, and more. We'll get into more of that later. Find that all on CSM Overtime. Clark Pugh to the outside, and a big hit right there. Yugashima flattened after a short gain.
It's like it was Gabe Munoz on the hit, just full throttle right into him.
Yeshiva there on the reception.
That's a way to get some momentum as well. Just those big hits, that football energy. Get your defense's blood pumping a little bit.
And these two teams have met on the hardwood basketball court. I believe these two teams met in a regional championship last season. So perhaps a little carried over tension as there's some Rock Island players that have got their shot with the hoop side of things, as well as a player like Gabe Munoz plays basketball. Handoff right here. Here's Tar. Makes a couple men miss, and not much support from the offensive line. Still picks up a few yards.
Looks like for the run game so far for the Rocks, that has been what's most successful, getting it to the outside and trying to go against as few of those linebackers and defensive linemen as you can, because they have been pretty elite so far here in this one.
Rock Island doesn't really go the heavy set at all. At least they haven't so far in this game. They, again, rely quite a bit more heavily on the speed and the height, the length of them, their team. Clark Pugh, quick throw. It's a bubble pass. Fighting forward. Will he have enough for a first down? It's going to be Tar on the reception. It's going to be close. First down, Rock Island. After a quick eye test there from the head official. And it feels, Teddy, like Rock Island's only offense tonight has been just kind of threading the needle. Very close plays. Maybe, again, you just try to switch the game plan up at halftime, utilize the other side of the field. Thoughts?
Exactly. We've seen a few shots downfield that looked really good. One on the opposite field sideline and one over here that was just dropped and would have been a great play and momentum shifter for the Rocks as another flag is called.
Delay a game is a call.
Delay a game against the Rocks.
Their second one of the night. The other one came on the goal line that later led to the forced fumble and then touchdown from Dunlap. But back to what I was saying, just like I agree, you have to try to stretch the field. Those two throws look pretty on the money, just got to be able to catch those. It's another sweep to the outside. To the loss of, well, they'll stay where they are.
Not going anywhere on that one, and perhaps it's trying to utilize the defensive side of things. Perhaps the left side, they feel a little more confident in their blocking abilities. Senior Eli Gustafson, 6'4", 250 senior. It's kind of one of the main men over there on the other side of, left side of the offensive line.
And they've went that way pretty heavily so far. I feel like all those sweeps have mainly been on that left side.
Here's another play. Play action over the middle. Threaded the needle. Incomplete. Looking for Overton again. And Clark Pugh is barely holding the football before he slings it out.
I think he's used to the pressure that Dunlap's generating so far, and he tried to look like he looked at his first read and just let his strong arm do the work. But you got to be able to read the field and see who's open. Looked on the right side of the field. There were a few guys might have been able to make a play there, but
time out of the field for Rock Island. The Dunlap Athletic Boosters is
timeout on the field. Looks like Rock Island will call their first as they'll try to get things dialed up. But as we mentioned in brief flashes, there's a flash sale going on ClutchSportsOwl.com and brand new CSM Overtime. Overtime is the recently launched platform from Clutch Sports Media, second to none in the area, nothing that Central Illinois has seen before. Full photo galleries, highlights, and feature stories across all sports, across all teams in Central Illinois. 31 football previews have been dropped, player quotes, pictures, and comprehensive in-depth looks at each local high school football team, as well as many other stories regarding individual players and teams. That's all on CSM Overtime.
Can't forget about the CSM Pick'ems as well. Got that with a bunch of our staff members picking games every single week. Gavin, how are you doing on CSM Pick'ems?
Yeah, that's something I wasn't aiming to bring up, but since you did, 3-7. Lackluster start for me, but I'm feeling confident in my week 2 picks. So go check out what I picked CSM Overtime. Clark Pugh fakes the throw. He's going to scramble this time, gets something going, and will hobble forward, one of their bigger gains of the evening. And it'll bring up a 4th and short.
Brings up 4th down.
And I don't want to say that was a design scramble, but it almost felt like Clark Pugh knew, hey, this pressure's coming in rather quickly. If I've got some space to run in front of me, he might just pump fake and run. That's exactly what he did.
Exactly. We mentioned last week about how that's what he was doing quite a bit, at least on the film that I saw and was able to break down a little bit. But so far tonight, he's been, even on plays he has been pressured, he's trying to get the ball out. Maybe that's something they worked in practice, try to stay in the pocket a little longer. Look, there's another flag comes out, looks like false start.
I believe, though, it'll be offsides. Their whole intention, I think, was to get him to jump there. It'll be encroachment on the defense. Dunlap can't believe it, but a whole flock of Eagles came flying over the line. Probably the right call.
I think anytime there's a play like that where either side, you can point at either one. You gotta, even if you know you're in the wrong, you gotta try to blame the other team, try to get it by the refs a little bit. So I don't blame them.
It's called being a good salesman. Gotta sell your case. But Rock Island winners in that business deal. Another spread, 4 receivers out this time, 1 in the backfield, and it's gonna be a false start. It's a miscommunication. Timeout, though. Timeout taken by Rock Island. They got it in the last second. Again, a lot of miscommunication there, but Teddy, I feel like this has almost become a crucial point in the game where you got to score if you're the Rocks.
Absolutely. This has been their best drive so far on the night, and they've had some spotlights on defense, some good punts, but offensively, you just haven't been able to string it together. But this has been the most successful drive, and this has been the least successful drive for the Dunlap Eagles. They haven't been able to put on as much pressure they had in the past. But really, for the Rocks, this is your one opportunity to try to bring it within 2 scores.
Lock and change with just 1 touchdown here for the Rocks. Still get set back to come out, and once again, go with that spread. I think that passing is going to be the way to go here, at least show pass. Try to spread out this Dunlap defense that's been monstrous up front.
Now they got 4 wide receivers set for this play, and that is what they do. A little screen pass to the outside, gain of about 6 yards.
I think you'll take that.
Yeah, that's been what has been pretty successful for him. Just those short passes, short passes, short runs, able to get a few yards and just keep it consistent. They haven't had a play that really sets them back too much like they have in other drives. So you'll take what you can get.
And that's about as good as a short 5 or 6 yard run. The running game has been not doing much. Another similar play, screen pass, Allen blown up after a couple yards, which how many times do you go to the well before it dries out? That's the question.
Yeah, I think, like we mentioned, the few plays they did have downfield, I hope they don't shy away from that too much, because although they were incomplete, they were really well thrown balls by Clark Pugh. But, you know, so far, I mean, the shorter passes are working. The run is not so much. Be interesting to see how they conclude this drive.
2 men in the backfield this time with Clark Pugh. They may try to run it on 3rd and short. They're going to pitch it out to the outside. Tries to make a couple moves, but he's going to be held short. And a 3rd down stop right there. Looked like it was Isaiah Duarte trying to make something happen. He's had a couple of carries for really no gain this evening.
Looked like he had a little bit of a lane on the left side and then cut into the right into a field of linemen, or linebackers, that is.
4th and short, 4th and 2 to be exact. Big time to convert. They bring in the big man, Samuelson. Fullback. They're going with the short pass, though, and it is dropped. Allen couldn't haul it in on the bubble pass. And turnover on downs. It feels like a big missed opportunity for the Rocks.
Absolutely. You can't be too predictable against a team like Dunlap. That's 3 plays in the last 4, or 3 of those little screen passes in the last 5 plays, and you got to mix it up a little bit. They predicted it super well. Linebacker comes in, gets bad on the ball, able to eliminate the 4th down conversion, get the ball back to your offense.
Dunlap takes back over. 5:29 to go in the first half of play. Bargan will drop back. First play, throws over to the outside. He'll have a receiver, a catch, and it's Munoz and a flag. It's going to be a late hit.
Pass complete. Flag at the end of the play.
And a bit unnecessary there. Wasn't maybe a boisterous hit, but nevertheless it was late.
On the Rocks.
So that's going to give the Eagles some extra yardage on a reception that was already enough for a first down.
Even though both sides, or Dunlap is seeing some flags here, you got to say Rock Island's having them too, so it's been a struggle for both of these teams trying to keep a clean game here and not letting either one of them get like an advantage in the penalty department. But
Bargan hands it back off. This is Oldham, and he will be shut down immediately.
Holding the ball carrier. Tackled there by number 9, J. Gerard.
J. Gerard in on the stop. He was just flagged for the penalty, but came with a nice play that time. 2nd and 10. Dunlap not in a hurry. Up 3 scores. Pretty clean first half from the Eagles. A few penalties, but those can be cleaned up. Bargan remains the quarterback. Man in motion. It's going to roll out. Play action. Throws on the run. He's got his man. He's still going and he'll be tripped up.
Pass complete. Flag in the play.
Flag. Not sure if this one will be coming back or not. The linemen for Dunlap are just staying put.
Holding is the call.
Holding is the call. Which, Teddy, aside from the hold there, executed flawlessly. A play action. Had his man rolled out. It was Kylan Pitts. A good-looking play, just the hold cost him.
exactly, the sophomore quarterback Bargan played really, really well. As much as we've mentioned the 2 quarterback systems, it's not because they can't find a for certain quarterback. Both these guys are very, very good. Last week, almost 80% completion percentage for Bargan. He's insanely accurate, and that's one of the reasons why he is one of these 2 quarterbacks.
So it's going to be 2nd and 20. Couple first downs to get now. Munoz in motion. Hands it back off to Oldham, and a little misdirection there. Doesn't
Oldham on the carry.
do anything, and a flag is thrown behind the play, rather in the defensive backfield.
Flag on the play.
Fans don't love it. There is some shoving between a Rock player and an Eagle player.
Looked like the Eagle involved was number 64, Colton Barlow. I'm not sure if it's a late hit or what the call was there.
Timeout Dunlap.
Dunlap will take an impromptu timeout. Barlow's frustrated. Talks to one of the coaches. And again, gets to a point where you're almost playing mind games at this point. You know, you want to see that level of competition, Teddy, but you also want to see it stay clean. You don't want to see all these, unnecessary hits. You don't want to see the unsportsmanlike conducts, but you want to see the competition remain fueled.
Exactly. You want your guys to stay competitive just as much as competitive doesn't get you in trouble.
Really well said right there, Teddy.
Penalty is declined.
Declined. So they will not move him back farther on the personal foul, unnecessary roughness, unsportsmanlike conduct from Colton Barlow of Dunlap. So it's going to bring a 3rd and 20. Obviously the Rock's intention, let's make a stop here, get the ball back. 3rd and 20, still a long way to go for the Eagles. Clock rolls again. Bargan claps his hands, ready to go. Takes it, play action. Looking for a man, still going, scrambling and sacked.
We saw that indecisiveness almost affect him earlier on when he was arguably past the line of scrimmage on a throw that was incomplete and we thought was a flag. But
we'll see what the flag amounts to. I don't believe it had to do with the play. I believe we're going to see yet another post-play penalty. Again, got to keep it clean if you're both sides. But a nice job from the pass rush right there to get in on the action. Isaiah Duarte getting in there. Santana Smith as well, putting some pressure down. And Isaiah Samuelson. Holding is declined. It was a hold.
Holding penalty is declined, brings up 4th down for the Eagles.
4th and 20, so it'll be punt time. Probably the right call. Although Fritz Diudonde, the head coach for Rock Island, wondering about possible late hit that was not called. But nothing going on, say the men in pinstripes. Eagles ready to punt it away, nearly blocked. But it's a good one once again. It's going to take a bounce, favorable to the Rocks. He's going to pick it up and run it back, though. And he'll get a couple extra yards. Kind of a late decision to take it back there by Vijay Gerard. And 35-yard line will be the starting points for the Rocks, as they'll have 2 minutes and 57 seconds to try to put something up on the board.
It's a quick little score update. This is 25 minutes ago. I don't know if this is still the score, but I'm trying to find a few things. Washington versus Kankakee was tied at 0-0 at the end of the first.
Interesting.
Kankakee, one of the best teams in the state, and Washington, although neither team has scored in the first, proving to stay with them pretty competitively.
Kankakee figures to be a monster of a team. I believe they beat Nazareth Academy, who is the reigning state champ in 5A.
Nazareth Academy, the team that beat Peoria last year in the state championship. Very impressive team in their own right.
But Kankakee, K's looking like something else. Marquez easily headed to Georgia, one of their featured player, originally a Peoria product. Here's a handoff. Tar will take it, makes a couple moves, and will get maybe 2 yards.
Mueller on the tackle for the Eagles.
Mueller comes in on the stop.
Outstanding down there. They've got bags set. They've got a
Look at the Dunlap defense right there.
Bunch of stuff. Make sure you
trying to lock in and
draw during halftime.
keep the shutout rolling.
Make sure you get down there and get an opportunity to grab
Rocks trying to do the exact opposite. Clark Pugh, nowhere to go. Is it going to be a fumble? They're going to say it's fumbled. And Dunlap recovers. Second forced fumble of the evening. And the Eagles get the ball with another short field to go.
A little bit of a commentator jinx there. As much as I said, he's getting the ball out a little too fast. The one play Clark Pugh holds on to it a little too long. Cost him with a forced fumble. The second one now for the Dunlap Eagles defense. Very stout so far in this one.
So now the Eagles with another excellent opportunity to extend their lead. They only got to go 27 yards. It's going to be Sutter. Dropping back, throwing deep towards the end zone, a little too far. Had Munoz in his tracks.
Incomplete.
I like the idea there, and thus far, Teddy, Dunlap receivers have been giving themselves room to run, breaking against the defense, just some overthrows.
Yeah, we saw the one on the right side of the field down the middle hash to Gabe Munoz overthrown earlier in the first quarter, and now that one definitely got to clean that up, but you know that the opportunities are there. He's got to capitalize on them and be up even more in this game possibly.
Neither team has had any luck going deep, throwing the football. We know they can, just haven't capitalized thus far. Hands it off, Oldham. As a couple players get into each other's face, as tensions continue to rise here in Dunlap.
After the play.
Players pleading their case. We're going to get some penalties here for some extracurriculars.
Even though we're in the second quarter of this game, not 2 minutes to go here in the second quarter, we've seen quite a few penalties. And I know we mentioned it before, being one of the keys that these teams have to clean up, but so far in this one, we've seen the timeouts from Rock Island after a few penalties, trying to maybe warn them a little bit and talk to Dunlap coach, talking to them as well, but got to clean those up for sure. It's definitely hurting both of these teams and helping neither.
So a personal foul on both sides. Won't do anything, but I do believe if you get X amount of those in a contest, you can be ejected after enough unsportsmanlike calls. So they'd hope to not have that happen again. We'll see if Dunlap can get something dialed up here on 3rd and long. It'll be Sutter again. This drive has not gone anywhere. Sutter passes near side. And not going much anywhere. Maybe a yard or two.
Ranking on the reception for the Eagles.
I will say, though, despite the unsportsmanlike penalties, ever since the tensions have rose a little bit, it's definitely activated this Rock Island defense. A few of those really quick plays that led to touchdowns, but other than that, they have been a lot better than the scoreboard goes to say. I would not blame this score on them entirely at all. 4th and 11.
See if they can get something going. Sutter drops back. He's going to throw deep towards the end zone, and nobody's home. Sutter was hit. Coming in with the pressure was Prince Davis Jr. Made the hit as the throw was released. So if nothing else, the Rocks' defense has felt pretty good about themselves aside from a couple of big plays, which is a silver lining. For sure.
There's a very good chance we could go into the half and this Rocks team can clean those up and if they can get their offense rolling just a little bit, and we have a really, really good football game, potentially. Their defense has been there.
It really has. Again, just a couple of miscues has cost them for a couple touchdowns. Running the ball here late in the half. Tar met by a number of tan jerseys.
Tar the ball carrier brought down by Flacco Eagles.
It'll be slight loss, it appears.
The loss of one of the play brings up 2nd and 11.
I think on one of those first downs, if you're Rock Island, you got to try to air it out and at least keep the defense on their toes. As of right now, they know exactly what you are going to do and because of what you have been doing. And another run right up the middle. Looks like a gain of a few yards, but not much.
There's not a lot going on, and Rock's probably trying to just lick their wounds. They will. They're not going to try to stop the clock.
Flag of play.
But we'll get a flag that'll stop it for him. Unsportsmanlike against the Rocks. More and more of this throughout this game. A chippy first half. Obviously, we can't be down there on top of the action. We can only get so close, but evidently words being exchanged between both sides.
And I know we keep going back to that same subject, but the penalties, especially if you're Rock Island, you're down by 21. If you can come in the half, there's no guarantee that the penalties will entirely clean up, but if you can come in the half and at least, try to keep it to yourself and go out there and play football and let Dunlap be the ones to shoot themselves in the foot and not both of you, can make a big help for your so far struggling offense.
With just a touch under 10 seconds to go in the half, we get some activities that'll slow us down. And off to our left, you can't see it, but the band awaiting their turn onto the field, their home opener for their performance. They're clad in purple and pink. Not entirely sure what the theme is this season.
Again, we talked about that on the drive back from week 1 about how we really appreciate bands and how they bring the atmosphere to these football games. So much as this is a football game program, give a shout out to the band.
And as the Rocks want to just take a knee, Fritz Diodonde takes a timeout as he is emphatic, runs out onto the field throwing his arms up. He saw something he didn't like.
His frustration obviously probably built up from all these unsportsmanlike penalties, not something you want to see. Holding, late hit, that's part of the game, but unsportsmanlike penalties are just something that, as a coach, you never want to see, and if you do, you want to clean it up right away.
Indeed. While we got a break, how about some scores around the area, at least as recent as I can see? Morton trails Rochelle in Rochelle 12-7 at halftime. Potter's got a big week 1 narrow victory over Mahomet Seymour. Pekin down to Belleville East 20-0. Washington Kankakee, according to this score, tied at halftime. Now, if you want to check the accuracy of that or see what happened for yourself, that game's streaming live on CIProud.com, courtesy of WMBD. Our other crews out there, we'll talk more about that in a minute. Tar is going to run the ball as time will indeed go to expire. And that's how we'll end the first half. Dunlap fired up as they run off the field with a 21-0 lead over Rock Island. Teddy, first half thoughts. It was obviously dominated by Dunlap as they're up 3 scores, and you want to give credit, first of all, to 2 big plays. Kendall Netter's 51-yard touchdown run, 41-yard touchdown run are the 2 biggest difference makers. 2 forced turnovers from Dunlap. But aside from those trademark plays, Teddy, it's been pretty even both ways. Dunlap's just had more big plays.
Yeah, Dunlap has been the ones to capitalize on those opportunities, and we saw a few shots downfield by the Rocks in the first quarter and early second, but other than that, it hasn't been too promising, but they have a foundation they can possibly build on and try to come back here in the second half.
We'll talk more about that in a minute after a brief break. Let's get a quick word for our great sponsors that help make these games possible. First of all, for Domino's. Domino's is your next choice. Next time you're feeling hungry, perhaps you want to get some halftime dinner. It's not too late to order whether you're in Rock Island or Peoria. Multiple area locations to choose from, 2 in Rock Island, 1 close to here in North Peoria and abroad. You can get their new pepperoni stuffed cheesy bread for a limited time. Any stuffed cheesy bread's just $1.99. That's a steal. Go to Domino's.com to find those deals and many more. Domino's.com. Also by Adam Merrick Realty here in Peoria. If you're selling your home, you got to call Adam Merrick. Adam is the only agent in today's market to put his money where his mouth is. If you can't sell your home in 59 days, Adam's going to buy it, taking all the stress and pressure off of you. Adam and his team have been consistently recognized as one of the top real estate teams in the country. Time is money, so when you want to sell your home, call Adam Merrick Real Estate, and your home is as good as sold. Those are our two great sponsors for tonight's game, and we're going to do a little self-promoting. Flash, there right on your screen. We're having a flash sale. ClutchSportsOut.com and the newly released CSM Overtime platform. If you've not heard about it, if you've not looked into it much, it's worth a look indeed. We've got a promotional video that we can bring to here in a couple minutes. But to tell you a little more about it right now, CSM Overtime featured stories, previews for 31 high school football teams. So if you need to know what to expect from the area this season around Central Illinois, from big school to small school, you can find it on CSM Overtime. All of our writers and reporters have comprehensive interviews from coaches, players, photo galleries, highlights, and feature stories across all sports. Nightly recaps, and as Teddy mentioned earlier, CSM Pick'em for football, where we pick who we think is going to win each week. I did not fare so well in week 1. If you want to see why, you got to go to CSM Overtime, although I got to say I'm feeling pretty good about my picks for week 2. But for now, check out this promotional video about the recently released CSM Overtime and take advantage of the flash sale. CSM Week 2 right now at ClutchSportsOut.com. Check out this video.
Central Illinois, we're going to overtime. After 4 years of preps coverage in Central Illinois, Clutch Sports Media is ready for a new era. CSM Overtime.
What is CSM Overtime? We're going beyond the broadcast to give you in-depth coverage of your teams,
Your stories. Your stats and standings.
your highlights and action shots.
With your subscription, you'll get to see news and feature stories from all sports, up-to-date stats from around the area, and thoughtful analysis from our team of experts. As for our broadcast and social media coverage, it's only getting better.
With your support of Clutch Sports Media Overtime, we'll continue to grow our free broadcast coverage with more sports, more games, and more innovation.
And thanks to our partnership with Too Efficient Media, your social media feeds will be filled with Central Illinois' best sights and sounds. CSM Overtime will also give you access to full galleries from some of the most talented photographers and videographers in our region.
As the new season approaches, it's time for more.
More action, more stories.
More coverage of all Central Illinois sports. It's Clutch Sports Media Overtime.
Hopefully you enjoyed that video about CSM Overtime and learned a little bit more. You can go to ClutchSportsOut.com to subscribe today. CSM Week 2 is the promo code to get 50% off your first monthly plan. Get a look there at the crowd. Stay fixed on the Dunlap Marching Eagles and their performance. A lot of great marching bands around the area. Again, we have great appreciation for the bands and all the things that make Friday Night Lights so special outside of just the football we see. Get a look at them right there. And a look at the night sky and the Friday Night Lights and the nearby tennis courts. Some tennis practice going on late at night. Teddy, we got some halftime stuff for you. Let's look back at week 1 a little bit. And, of course, we're a quarter through this game, but put a little light on some of the players that shined in week 1. Starting with Rock Island, Javion Clark-Pugh was the top performer last week for Rock Island. The first-year starter in his first career varsity start. 95 yards, a touchdown, and interception. Maybe not the prettiest stat line you can see, but had a tough assignment. The Rocks lost big, but overall, I think the biggest takeaway, there were some good flashes in there. And I think from a young quarterback and a team that's kind of finding themselves back a little bit, you need to see those flashes.
Absolutely, and Javion Clark-Pugh, for a 41-7 loss, a 1 touchdown, 1 interception ratio is not too bad. There's a lot of other 41-7 losses that look entirely different for the starting quarterback. So to come in your first week as a starter and put up the stat line he did, albeit not insanely impressive. It was still the best on the Rock Island team, and he's been pretty impressive so far here tonight.
Indeed, and how about for Dunlap? Dunlap got multiple big performances as they were on the other side of a big win against Galesburg. Defensively, Dazon McCaston got in there for 4.5 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, made his presence felt. John Bargan, 184 yards, a 77.8% completion rate, and a touchdown. How about Jackson Oldham? 11 carries for 166 yards, 3 touchdowns from Oldham. He hasn't necessarily been tonight's factor, but proving he can get it going, as well as all those other great Dunlap players.
Absolutely, and not only that, you forgot one more player that I had on my list. Dawson Marmion had 3 receptions for 118 yards and a touchdown last week as well. So really Dunlap been able to carry their success from last week into this one as they go into the second half, up 21-0. Just really impressive so far this season. We're halfway through week 2.
Nice stats there from week 1 as many other players making their name known here in week 2. Kendall Netters has been the story of tonight's game. 2 long touchdown runs for Netters, as he's racked up a 51-yard and a 41-yard touchdown run, as he's mostly the biggest difference for the Eagles, as he's supplied 2 of their touchdowns in this evening's game. We're going to regroup here for a couple minutes. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back as there's 12 minutes left to go on the clock before half number 2 gets underway. Teddy Ball, Gavin Russell here on the call for you tonight. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. More Rock Island and Dunlap coming your way on ClutchSportsIL.com. Welcome back to Dunlap High School for Friday Night Lights here on ClutchSportsOut.com, brought to you by Domino's. Teddy Ball, Gavin Russell in here for the call as the Eagles are in front 21-0 at the half. Just a shade under 5 minutes to go before we get back rolling in half number 2. Teddy, it's been an interesting one so far, but we've also got a lot of other games going on around our local area. So how about some scores from the local area? Right now in East Peoria, the Raiders up 27-20 over Aurora Central Catholic. Morton, who was just down 12-7 at the half last time we reported, they're back up 20-12 now. So the Potters getting going as they kind of had a bit of a come from behind win over Muhammad Seymour in their first week. They're up third quarter, so a lot of time to go there. Belleville East 27-0 over Pekin. Third quarter, as far as we're aware, Kankakee in Washington is still knotted at 0. What a shocker. That is shocking. I hope that's correct. As far as I see here on my phone, if somebody has a better update, you can let us know in the chat. If you're looking for that game and you want to watch Kankakee in Washington, that's on CIProud.com. You can also go to the website ClutchSportsOut.com to find a link to that game. So this is not Washington Kankakee. That game is on CIProud.com with the good help of our friends at WMBD. Jonathan Michael and Cody Roskins on the call over there. They've got an excellent one, and as far as the score shows, zeros. It could be a nail-biter at the finish. Another big game, kind of flying under the radar a little bit, Normal West and Bloomington. Normal West up 2 touchdowns at the half, 28-14. Canton being shut out by Cole City 34-0 in the third quarter. Limestone subsequently being shut out by Galesburg 21-0 in the third quarter. Metamora is really getting things going. They are up 30-6 over LaSalle Peru. That was I believe a pretty narrow game last time they met last season, if memory serves me right. But Metamora up 30-6. Redbirds showing out. Richwoods over Springfield Southeast in the third quarter, 17-12 at the moment. Manual holding tough with Centennial. Centennial's a pretty good team a year ago. Centennial up 21-8 at the half, and that is the final score that I see, at least here on my side of things. If anybody else has any updates they would like to share, feel free to do so in the chat. Teddy, it's been an interesting first slate of games, and of course we've maybe seen a few things that have surprised us, some things that are a little more unsurprising that we predicted. But at the end of the day, Illinois high school football, IHSA football in general, and specifically, although I'm a bit partial, Central Illinois football just brings an energy unmatched to any other, where you never really know what you're going to get week to week.
Absolutely, and you see a lot of bigger schools in the Chicago area that, are the powerhouse schools in Illinois, but here in Central Illinois, we don't have a whole lot of powerhouses, so it's very well-rounded, so any team can win week to week. Obviously, every once in a while, you have a team that stands out and is able to make it far, like the Peorias of last year, the Pekins, Normal Community, Normal West, all those teams, and we're really curious on how this Dunlap team is going to show up for the rest of the season, because as of right now, they've got the 54-14 win, and now 21-0 so far going into the second half. They look unstoppable this season, and just excited to see how everything turns out. And we're only in week 2, Gavin. We got a lot of football left to go.
Indeed, a lot of great football coming up here for you in Central Illinois. I know next week will be just a little sneak peek for you, maybe headed back to the Twin Cities. So there's perhaps a big Twin Cities game down there. Not gonna say it, but could involve some normal schools. Both those normal schools are pretty good. We'll see a lot of them on CSM this season. As the clock winds down, as the referees come back to take the field, I believe we'll have the 3 or 4 minute warm-up period coming up as well. So a couple more minutes. You have 3 minutes there on the clock. You see on your screen there. Lots of great action. Teddy, I think that we hit on it earlier, and you finally got a chance to dig into it. pork chops. And pork chops here in Illinois, that's a big thing. You know, you got your typical concession food, and I'm not partial to any of it. But pork chop is the staple. Can your pork chop out-chop the rest? And I got to say, I reviewed mine earlier. I gave it a 7, which is pretty high. I'm a high standards guy. Teddy, what's your take on it? Let's get a full breakdown.
As of so far, we've reviewed 2 pork chops in the next 2 weeks. We got Norma Communities last week we got a pretty high rating on it. As for this one, I got a chance to dive into it at halftime over the break. I might be a little bit more generous than you. I think the barbecue had some good tanginess to it. It was really well cooked. I'm gonna give it a 7.7. Not quite as good as normal. It's still number 1 on the podium, but hey, Dunlap, take number 2.
So far, hey, that's not a bad runner-up, but we've got 7 more weeks to go. So your final standing may not necessarily be, and if we come back to Dunlap, there's always room for improvement. So when your football is good on the field and Clutch Sports Media comes to cover your game, we also got to try your pork chop each time. That can change week to week. So Dunlap, if you're listening to this out there, nice effort this time. Great service. Thanks to all the men and women working at the concession stand, helping us out, doing a fantastic job. But room for improvement, but a solid pork chop nonetheless.
I will say, if there's any teams out there, you know we're coming to one of your games, and you don't offer a pork chop, I don't know, that might dock you a few points. Just a few.
True. That's true. That is certainly a big dock. We would have to attempt to review something else to make up for it. But I think for the most part, are going to have a pork chop to offer. That would be something else if they did. But we're focused also on the football, of course, you know, aside from our expert food reviews, and we can come back to that topic later. We've got football left to play, and this game is not out of reach for Rock Island, though they are down 3 scores. Dunlap feeling pretty good, but they also don't want to leave anything to chance. This game's been awfully chippy. If you've just joined us in off of halftime, it's been Kendall Netters. 2 touchdown runs, 51 yards and 41 yards respectively, are the difference makers. Big plays have been the difference maker. I think that's kind of a given, but it hasn't been necessarily consistency from Dunlap. It's been more so just dominating plays. 2 turnovers, 2 big offensive plays really are the turn in this game for the Eagles. Rock Island has been on the doorstep of a couple scores, have just fell short and not able to put any points on the board yet. Teddy, as we get going here for half number 2, maybe a key for each side. What they want to do. Dunlap trying to close it out. Rock Island trying to make this ball game.
Obviously, as you mentioned, the penalties have been such a big deal. Both sides want to clean up on that, but just to stay, you know, not going in that same direction every single time, I think for Rock Island, you really got to try to open up your weapons on offense. You've been pretty consistent in terms of what you're calling. Obviously, one of the last drives of the game of the first half, we saw them do pretty much 3 straight screen plays that ended up stopping their best run or best drive of the game so far. So just be creative with it. You know, you've seen a little bit of success in terms of open men downfield. You just got to trust your receivers, trust your, you know, first-year starting quarterback and Clark Pugh. But for Dunlap, I think really just keep with the momentum that you're doing. You lay off the penalties and keep the hard-hitting defense going the way it is. You'll be just fine.
Good keys there, Teddy. And it's time to kick off half number 2. 2 quarters left to play. The ball is a bit of a squibber through the legs of Allen. He'll field it back at about the 13. Tries to make a man miss. And he'll be eventually tackled shy of the 20-yard line. So the 5-hole costs him some yards. Looked like a goalie out of position there. The ball sailed right through, but Rock Island starts with the ball. Probably the best situation you can ask for in this position for Rock Island. Starting with the ball, coming fresh off of halftime, a chance to draw up exactly what you want to do on this drive. A drive I would assume very scripted. What do you start with? What's the bread and butter?
I think maybe try to catch them off guard. You see really for Dunlap here, they got 2 close safeties almost playing linebacker roles as they push up. They run the ball up the middle, but I think you keep seeing those safeties drop down. Maybe try to take one over the top and just keep them on their toes, keep them guessing, because so far they have been able to predict everything Rock Island's been able to been throwing at them, and that's what led to the fourth down stop at the end of the second quarter with the pass deflection on the dump-off attempt. Just try to switch it up.
Indeed, and Rock Island, plenty of speed, plenty of height. A couple of receivers standing over 6'2", and a lot of speed as well. Here's another run up the middle, just to the outside, and the first two runs combined gain of about 2 yards. Not a lot going on.
Gavin, you definitely got to give credit to the Dunlap defense last week, only allowing 43 passing yards from Galesburg, and this week I can't imagine it's too much higher than that. They've been pretty locked down, and same with the rushing yard attempts, just nothing going. Just got to find a way to translate to some points.
3rd and 8. Need a big play here. First 2 run plays have been largely unsuccessful. Clark Pugh's going to throw this time under pressure. Finds a wide open man. It's Bobo, but he's got it. He's streaking down the sideline. That's Tar. And Tar just by his fingertips grabs that ball for a big gain.
Definitely lucked out if you're Rock Island there. You never want to bobble the ball like that, but being able to catch it, just anything at this point in the game can help you so much. And we saw earlier when they did have their one decently long reception, it led to a long run the next play. So passing yard or passing game can really open up the run game and vice versa.
Hands it off again. Tar is the man, and Tar has been the featured player most of the recent drives, although he was the starter for Rock Island. Didn't get a lot of the early game stuff. Now has been the featured man for the Rocks. Get a look there. Man on the bike. Working the legs out. Gotta stay loose. Early season cramps. Maybe eat a banana. These early season games can get players down in a hurry with some cramps. Here's a handoff. Tar breaks a couple tackles, just not going to get much anywhere. And I feel like Tar is not to blame here, Teddy. Again, a great running back, 5'9", 180 senior, heads-up player. He's just not getting any blocks, so any yardage he gets is self-created.
Exactly, and the runs that he is having is primarily up the middle, which have not been successful to this point. Maybe if it's a 3rd and short and you're trying to convert, you go up the middle, but if you have no success, I really don't understand why they keep going back to it. But I mean, I don't know, I'm not an offensive coordinator myself. There's a pass attempt here. It looked like it nearly was intercepted, but just overthrown by Clark Pugh.
And that looked like may have had a man open, just the defense in the middle. Fritz Dudonde.
Folks, we got scores from around the middle line. It is 4th down.
4th down.
First score is Galesburg 21, Limestone 0.
They will go for it on 4th down.
At this point, you almost have to.
Need to find something. One long pass on this drive, and that's the difference maker.
Showing trips left. Ball
Botched.
fumbled.
Clark Pugh heaves it over the middle. He finds a man from the ground. Clark Pugh.
What a play.
Nearly on his backside. Holy cow.
I don't think we got a player down on the Eagles logo there. But to talk about the positives of that play, we just give it to Clark Pugh. Not a lot of quarterbacks in general, let alone a first-year quarterback in his second game can make that throw. That shows the type of player he's going to be able to be. Just the intuitiveness to be able to get that ball away. Obviously very dangerous trying to throw it downfield when you're getting sacked, but it worked out for him on that one. We hope the injured player down, you can't see who it is, we hope he's okay. You get in the red zone now for the Rocks for the first time since the end of the second quarter.
Tend to the injured player. Of course, hope the best for him. It looks like one of the linemen for the Rocks will get a number. It's so provided. It looks like he's going to get up. It's actually going to be Isaiah Samuelson, the fullback. He'll walk off under his own power, so perhaps a hard hit, maybe a cramp. Hopefully he can shake it off and get back in the game. Is what a play from Javion Clark-Pugh, who, again, go back and rewatch that one. I saw it kind of just come together. An absolute desperation throw, falling away to his backside, and hooked up with his receiver. I believe it was Joe Allen. And it's a first down on a fourth down.
Exactly. Talk about just
clutch.
Making something out of nothing. Looked like a possible fumble right there. He was bobbling on the ground. Looked like I thought he dove on the ball, but he was able to get up, escape it.
Tar makes a couple men miss. He goes up the middle. Tar towards the end zone. Touchdown, Rocks.
There you go. You get a little bit of momentum in the pass game, and the run game opens right up. You get those safeties to drop back a little bit, get a little leeway, able to run right up the middle, which they've been trying to do all game, and that is the first time it really worked for the first touchdown of the game for Rock Island.
Tar finally got a good block up front. Was able to get it about 3 or 4 yards out, and that's all he needed. That's encouraging if you're a Rocks fan. Give that man a little room to run, and he's gone. 23-yard touchdown run there from GK Tar. And the Rocks on the board trying to convert for another. The kick is up, and it is good. 2-score ball game, Teddy. Fasten those seatbelts. Rock Island says, hey, it's going to come at the last minute, but we're going to make this game. While we got a break, before we get our next kickoff, let's get a great word for our sponsors. And our featured sponsor every week here on ClutchSportsOut.com is Domino's. Domino's, next time you're looking for a meal, perhaps you want a late-night meal. I learned last week they're open until 1 a.m., so it's not too late to get your pizza tonight. Whether you're in Rock Island with 2 locations near you or here in Dunlap with a North Peoria location close by, you can try their new pepperoni stuffed cheesy bread and any cheesy bread for a limited time, just $1.99 at Domino's.com. Also by Adam Merrick Realty. If you're selling a luxury home, well, you can call Adam Merrick Real Estate. Adam and his team have been ranked by Real Trends as one of the top 25 teams in the country. Adam has sold over 14,000 homes in the past 20 years. Adam Merrick knows the luxury market better than the average agent. In fact, Adam and his team have a signature marketing program designed to help his clients sell more for more money and faster, allowing for fewer hassles. Go to AdamMerrick.com if you want to sell your home. He does it right.
And Gavin, we get ready for kickoff here. Just heard some score updates from the PA announcer. Washington Kankakee, pretty decent return, about to 21. Still going. Anyway, back to the score updates. Washington Kankakee up 7 to Washington's 3. Finally breaks that 0-0 tie. Pekin able to score 7. Now 27-7 in Pekin Memorial Stadium. As of right now, we got a game on our hands, Gavin. 21-7. A 14-point game is a lot different from a 21-point game. 14 can change very fast.
It really can. And we'll see what Dunlap can do if they can respond.
Ethan, we know what you look like because we've got your ID and your wallet.
PA says they have a lost wallet. Hopefully they retrieve that. That's no fun. Eagles set up. They're going to go with Oldham on first down, and between the tackles has been, other than Kendall Netters, has not been the strong suit tonight for the Eagles. Unless Kendall Netters has the ball, of course.
I will say, compared to early on, which Dunlap was able to use the running game pretty much however they wanted to, Rock Island's D-line and linebackers have really closed that gap in terms of who's winning the battle. They've been able to close it in.
Dunlap not in a hurry. Play clock goes to 10. Bargan takes it, drops back, rolls out, finds his man Netters in the flat. And he'll have enough for a first down before he's brought down after a gain of about 15. And Kendall Netters, I think, more well into the conversation for player of the game. He's been nothing short of terrific.
To be honest with you, he's really just been the driving force for this Dunlap offense. I wouldn't say he's been all the offense because we've seen highlights from all over the field, but in terms of the scoreboard, he's got 2 of their 3 touchdowns. Had a great game so far.
Ride the hot hand. Here's Oldham back up the middle. Finds a block and gets through. A productive run for Jackson Oldham, who had a huge week in week 1, 166 yards. Likely not going to touch that. Never say never. But again, just allowing his teammates to have a big week. Again, a very team-oriented Dunlap group, not fixed on just one guy. There's a lot of guys you can look at.
And you know, Gavin, we see that so much more nowadays, from the pro level to even down to the high school level. Running back rooms is a deep pass. Looks like it'll go out of bounds. Oh, never mind.
And nearly an interception. Way overthrown.
Back to what I was saying, I think we see a lot more full running back rooms compared to just single individual running backs. There still are great running backs, obviously, like in the pro levels. You have Derrick Henry, Jonathan Taylor when he plays. But just like look at this team right here. Nettles and Oldham, really the last 2 weeks have been the key drivers of this Dunlap offense. You look at last year, you got Pekin with their 2-headed monster of Kanye Tyler and Tanner Sprecher. All around, just a running back room is the best way to go.
Oldham will stumble forward. Looks like he'll have enough for a first down. Kind of on that point, though. Really, any team has full running back rooms. That specific point made me think of talking with East Peoria. I talked to their head coach for their preview. And, of course, if you remember last season, it was Gabe Ziegler-Harris, kind of the one-man show, did great things for them. But even East Peoria was telling me they've got 4, maybe 5 guys getting potential regular touches in the backfield. I mean, again, that just says you got a lot of guys you can use. Bargan drops back, got some pressure, stumbles out. He's going to go for it himself, and he will kind of dive down for about a 7-yard scramble. But across the board, every team sees the value in not just being a one-trick pony.
Absolutely. And we see it here even in the quarterback room for Dunlap is John Bargan and Mac Sutter. But I'm not going to lie, that time for Bargan, it was the first time I've seen him really take care of it with his legs. Sutter's usually been the one that scrambles, but Bargan able to take it there himself. He's been a little bit slower in the pocket, more of a pocket passer, pocket presence, but senses pressure and ideal way of getting out of it.
Passing not much of a factor for Dunlap tonight. Oldham takes it, gets some yardage, and just puts his head down. That's going to be a gain of about 7 right there. Enough for a first down, and Dunlap probably one of their more long, consistent drives of the night, not just tearing off one big chunk of yardage. Rock Island's been pretty good with the consistency. They just have given up those big plays that have hurt them. Dunlap really running the ball, though, a lot in this game. The passing just hasn't been there this week. Perhaps that was a focus of Rock Island. 3-man rush. They are passing it this time. Deep down the field. McCaw got it. Interception. Deshaun McCaw had a chance at it earlier in this drive. Couldn't hold on to it. This time, he got it.
One of my keys going into this game, although big loss last week, one of their positives was the interception that they got last week from their secondary and forcing a lot of pass breakups. Like you mentioned, it hasn't been a big key for Dunlap to pass the ball, and when they have, it's been overthrown, and that one just a little too far out of range of his receiver and perfectly placed for McCone.
McCaw with the INT. That's the first turnover force of the night by Rock Island. So now just a bit over 4 minutes to go in the third. Rock Island is trying to go for 2 unanswered. Deep in their own territory, though. Clark Pugh hands it off. Tar will take it for a short run. Probably about 3 on the gain. 3 or 4. Which you feel like if you can end this quarter within 1 score, Rock Island is going to have most of the momentum. Not a good sign, though. Tar down on the field. Don't want to see him go out with an injury.
I get a Twitter notification here from the Clutch Sports 815 affiliate. halftime of Hononegah versus Harlem. Hononegah leads Harlem 28-7.
Yeah, that's another one up in Rockford. Clutch Sports Media 1-5, we're everywhere. From Washington tonight, Dunlap, of course, we're here. And up in the Rockford area, there's Clutch Sports Media broadcasting free high school football games. Tar will walk off under mostly his own power. Getting early season cramps and things, got to get your legs under you. Score update from Washington. Kankakee narrowly 7-3 at the end of the third quarter. Run up the middle here. It'll be good for a couple yards. It's going to be Duarte on the carry.
Yeah, Gavin, getting into that Kankakee game, we did think it was going to be a close game. Both really two strong teams, but defensively it's just been, what a game that is. 7-3, not something I would have expected. Obviously, Washington, really good defense. We talked in the Clutch Sports group chat about how they could really, ideally, if they could keep it close, they'd have a chance of winning this game, and that's exactly what they've done. Kankakee, just got to give them credit. Such a great team, so both teams looking great in that one.
Indeed, and I haven't truthfully watched a second of that game. I've been a little preoccupied. Wonder why. But, no, if that game is something that you want to jump back and forth with this game, maybe we get to a break here, a timeout or something you want to go check on that game. CIProud.com is the place to be for that one. As the injured Eagle limps off the field. Looks like that is Aiden Van Hooklen. Rather 33, Adam Nound.
Looks like a 44 from up here in the booth for a second.
My eyes have deceived me. Hopefully he's going to be all right. Looks like he's going to stretch and shake it off. Rocks back to work. Tried to run up the middle again on third down for a short gain. Duarte again in for GK Tar, who went out with a brief injury. But the Rocks will punt, so missed opportunity after the turnover. Still very much a ball game, 2 scores. This was a close one last year. Can't believe I haven't said this yet, but it was a rock fight last year, and it looks like it's going to be a rock fight this year. Throwing stones at each other, it's going to be close.
You really like your puns, Gavin. I'll give it to you.
I'm always good for a dad joke or two. Nearly blocked right there. Gets it back deep. Munoz, and he fair catches it at midfield, or just past midfield. 49-yard line, so it'll be about half the field to go for Dunlap. While we got a break, let's get a quick word for our great sponsors. And starting with tonight's title sponsor, and our great sponsor every week here on ClutchSportsOut.com, that's Domino's. 2 Rock Island locations and a location in North Peoria. In addition to many others throughout the local Peoria area, you can try their new pepperoni stuffed cheesy bread for a limited time. Any stuffed cheesy breads, just $1.99. Domino's.com. Also by Adam Merrick. If your house doesn't sell in 59 days, Adam's going to buy it. You can go to AdamMerrick.com. If you're thinking about selling your home, Adam does a great job here in Central Illinois. Oldham on first down. Get some space to run, and he'll pick up a gain over midfield of about 7. Santana Smith on the stop.
And although for Rock Island we've been giving them the advice of maybe, trying to test out the pass game and look to work on their last scoring drive, for Dunlap, you're in the driver's seat. You're not trying to catch up to Rock Island. So really I would say just stick with what you're going with. Run the ball. It's worked for you so far, and the only negative you could say so far is the interception so far. Oh, I say that so many times, but another good run there.
Oldham just workhorse. He's been really starting to turn it on, getting a healthy amount of yards. He's obviously going to be, and as we get more into the season, as you kind of mentioned, just do what you do. Guys will figure their roles out a little more, become more established. Perhaps Oldham is just that workhorse. You need a few yards, that's the guy you give it to. If you need to tear off a big play really fast, Kendall Netters could be your guy.
You got to give credit to Netters and Oldham on that. Just Oldham being able to play his role in that first half, knowing that Netters had the hot hand, and now they need him for these small runs to run the clock out.
And a pile of bodies hits the turf as that run will go nowhere for Oldham. Finally stopped up.
Josh Merritt's there to stop. No game of play brings a second out.
Rocks trying to clutch up on the D-line. D-line for the Rocks. Couple of juniors, couple of seniors. They get some big bodies up there, though. Prince Davis Jr., Isaiah Samuelson, Isaiah Duarte. We've called all their names tonight. Derek Jabba also in the mix. Blitz coming. Sutter rolls out, nowhere to go, stumbles, throws it away. He had a receiver in the area. And a flag is thrown late. Looks like he tried to throw to Kylan Pitts, but he was well under pressure. And Teddy, we saw a lot of penalties in the first half. That's the first flag we've seen in quite a while.
Yeah, I almost forgot to mention it just because it's been so much of a smoother game. But, yeah, I think both teams really worked on it. Interesting to see what this one is, but looks like it'll go against the Eagles.
There are two penalties here. Holding against the Eagles and unsportsmanlike against Rock Island.
Another unsportsmanlike call.
Unsportsmanlike against Rock Island, and then it offsets a holding call. Fritz Dudonde doesn't particularly like it. He's kind of making his case to the official, but nothing is going to come of it. Some deliberation as to what to do. Official comes back again, as he'll reiterate the offsetting penalties. Somehow, though, the ball moves backwards and then forwards.
That's one way to do it.
10 yards against the Eagles, 15 against Rock Island. So that gained 5 yards on the penalties.
That is interesting. As far as my football knowledge was concerned, I thought that any penalties offset each other. You had one each side. Apparently, in the situation of unsportsmanlike calls, doesn't matter. So the Eagles end up getting a gain, and it's second down still.
I guess I wouldn't say anything if I was the Eagles. You'll take what you can get at this point in the game. Sets you right at about the 32-yard line.
Hands it off back to Oldham. Oldham will get some yardage, and it's going to be right about a first down.
That'll be enough for another Eagle first down.
Eagles get a first down.
Folks, don't forget, you can always get Eagles news and find out about all athletic events by following Dunlap Athletics on Facebook and Twitter.
Eagles slow and methodically making this drive. Haven't really ripped off one of those exciting plays yet. They make you wonder if they'll try to do that here at some point. Here's Oldham trying to rip something off. Just more consistent yardage from him.
Oldham on the carry.
And no disrespect to him, he's doing his job, Teddy. That's just the workhorse mentality. You get the ball, pick up a few yards, and just rinse and repeat.
Obviously, roles depend on the game as well. Obviously, last week, the 3-touchdown game for Oldham, but he just realized his team wants him to run the clock down, and he's doing a perfect job of that, getting 4 or 5 yards every run.
That is the end of 3 quarters. Rock Island has brought this within a 2-score game. And Dunlap moving down the field trying to give themselves some insurance. While we've got a break, let's take a quick minute to thank our great sponsors for this evening's contest. They really do help make all of this possible, starting with Domino's. Number of locations to choose from, and if you're hungry for a mid or post-game meal, Domino's has got to be your choice. 2 locations in Rock Island, 1 here local to Dunlap in North Peoria, as well as abroad. No matter where you're at, Domino's is the choice. You can go to Domino's.com to find great deals and offers for your next meal. Also by Adam Merrick Realty. Perhaps you're selling a luxury home wherever you might be in Central Illinois. Call Adam Merrick Real Estate. Adam and his team have been ranked by Real Trends as one of the top 25 teams in the country. Adam has sold over 14,000 homes in the past 20 years. Adam Merrick knows the luxury market better than most agents. In fact, Adam and his team have a signature marketing program designed to help his clients sell for more money and faster, allowing for fewer hassles. So if you're looking to sell a home, especially a luxury house, you can call Adam Merrick and he'll get your house sold. 59 days, or he'll buy it. Take all the stress and worry away of selling your home, AdamMerrick.com. See some overtime coming at your screen right now. Flash right there. Flash show going on tonight only. See right there on your screen. You can use code CSM Week 2 to get 50% off your first month subscription at CSM Overtime. If you don't know what CSM Overtime is, well, you got to just find out for yourself. Nothing like Central Illinois has seen before, covering all high school athletics. And we start the 4th quarter with a flag.
Multiple flags on the play.
CSM Overtime covering not just football, as it's going to be a false start on Dunlap. How about a local, or I should say recent, article written in the past couple days by Jonathan Michael about Dunlap volleyball. New head coach this year and off to a fast start. We're not limited to just football. Of course, we do love our boys on the gridiron here in Central Illinois, but got to give a lot of love to the volleyball players, to the golfers, to the tennis players, soccer. And then as we get into the winter sports, there'll be much more to cover. Basketball, wrestling, swimming, and diving. You name it, we got it. ClutchSportsOut.com, CSM Overtime. And looked like going to be a timeout taken here by Dunlap.
Folks, exciting news for the girls basketball team this week, as it was announced they'll host their own
Timeout by Dunlap.
on November 24-25.
As we are a whole 2 seconds in to this final frame, Teddy. A timeout and a penalty have slowed us down, but how about we look at what we've got coming for future weeks? This game's far from over. But how about for Rock Island? Rock Island has got 7 games left to go. They get their next 2 at home, and actually 3 out of their next 4 back at Rocky. They'll take on Quincy, followed by Newman. They'll be at Moline, and then home against East Moline United Township. A similar opponent for both these teams, Galesburg, as Rock Island will head there. Sterling and Geneseo will cap things off in the season. Central State 8, Rock Island. So that's the rest of their way. A challenging schedule as it is up near the Quad Cities. Never an easy slate. And as for Dunlap, it'll be Mid-Illini Conference time after this week. Pekin, Limestone, East Peoria, Canton. Bit of an easier go at it midweek, and then they have a sprint to the finish. Washington, Morton, Metamora wrap up their slate. Tough schedules. We'll get more into that later. Oldham takes it. He'll get a couple yards. Falls forward.
Over the left side.
And Teddy, this is probably one of the most, I guess you could say, dramatic
Flag of the play.
as we get yet another flag.
You say after the play, maybe another unsportsmanlike penalty. You hate to see it, but at this point in the game, it's almost predictable that it'll happen again.
Officials will concur and discuss. Another flag just got thrown out of the huddle. Personal foul against Rock Island, personal foul against Dunlap. They offset. How many times we've seen that tonight? Probably too many.
Thankfully, they'll just keep the ball where it was and not walk both ways and then meet back in the middle. But at least both of these teams are doing it to themselves. It's not one of these teams just doing all the penalties. They've been pretty even in terms of penalties in this game. Definitely something you want to clean up for weeks to come.
Dunlap saying, hey, we did nothing wrong. Fritz Dionde out there talking with the officials well onto the field, having a whole meeting with the referees, trying to plead his guy's case, which to an extent, of course, we're not down there. We can't be the judge. You can judge for yourself at home, but at some point, if you're the coach, you got to get frustrated saying, you also got to, give our guys a little something. You can't just give us offsetting penalties just because. If one guy instigates it, that's probably the case he's making. But this becomes very tough. Very tough for referees to dictate when both teams have gotten so chippy.
Exactly. Looks like he's still trying to plead his case. It's probably just built up frustration. You can see his frustration on the sidelines all throughout the game, and now, like you said, trying to plead his case to these refs and help out his players. You got to love a coach that does that, though.
He's sticking up for his guys.
Absolutely.
Fritz will head back. Doesn't look like he loved what was talked about.
Looks like they're a member of the Dunlap student section going around trying to get a wave going. I think that'll be a first.
A wave at a football game. Typically, see that maybe at a baseball game. Get it go all the way around the stadium, but is it going to just go back and forth in the bleachers? We'll have to see. We're focused on the football. Dramatic third down here. This could be a big make or break for Rock Island. Bargan drops back, throws over the middle, intercepted. The Rocks have it. Then it's fumbled. And Dunlap gets it back.
Perfect opportunity for Rock Island to capitalize right there. Looks like just another one of, not a flag, but just an offsetting play. Give it right back to him.
But was this a change of possession? This could give the Eagles a first down. A lot to figure out here. Rock Island's still trying to point towards their direction. A little confusion still. I believe as the wave is trying to be ignited here in the Dunlap crowd.
Probably not a good time to start the wave after a play like that. I'd probably wait, but.
Yeah, I would be a little more focused on the football. A crucial interception. And in a matter of seconds, a fumble.
That's something you more so see in Madden, not necessarily real life. 2 turnovers on 1 play, but got to give credit to Dunlap, able to poke the ball free, do anything they can to keep this score where it is.
And indeed, the Eagles reset and they get a first down. So they move back maybe 10 or 15 yards, but with a fresh set of downs.
Now, I think that definitely confirms, at least in my opinion, to stick with the run game for the rest of this outing. You don't want to get within a score with Rock Island with 11 minutes left, so just run the ball, try to get some of that time off the clock, but
ground and pounds, try to run the clock down. Offsides against the Eagles. So they'll move them back 5.
Penalty on the Eagles.
Bargan takes it. He's going to throw it. Pressure coming off. Threw it high. Looked like it was a screen pass to Netters.
Pass it complete.
And he just lofted it a little too far over his man's head. Second down, and it stops the clock.
You know, I will say last week, obviously the 77.8 completion percentage for Bargan was very impressive, but so far this week, we have not really seen, we've seen a few plays where Max Sutters came in, but it's mainly been the coach trusting in John Bargan. He's been out there for the majority of the plays, and he's been the one taking these throws that have resulted in a few yards, but gotta give him credit. He's sticking with one guy so far.
Netters is going to chew off a big run right there, as he's done so often tonight. Not enough for a first down, but it'll be a 3rd and short now.
Down to the 28-yard line.
And like we said, that's definitely the safe move. Keep it with Netters. He's had a great game so far. If you can just, even if you want to be able to let Bargan throw the ball a little bit, get more comfortable, maybe try to score one more time, get the ball back with a few minutes left, and then you can trust it. But I wouldn't want to risk it at this stage in the game, only up 2 scores.
Bargan takes it, hands it up the middle again. Netters is going to have more than enough for a first down and charges forward. Ball security, a big thing. He holds on to it.
Netters up the middle. That'll be enough for another Eagle
First down. So that fumble after the interception and a wild sequence really coming back to hurt the Rocks as time now becoming one of their bigger enemies.
At the Rock 20-yard line.
Hands it off. Netters, legs taken out from under him. Duarte
Tackle the backfield.
got the
there,
dog in him.
Duarte.
Just came in out of nowhere.
It's a play that probably they were not expecting. They've been running the ball so well, and Rock Island, a little bit in the start of the second half, were not letting anything happen and not letting any runs go by, but now trying to get back to that mentality. I will say, if I were calling the shots, I'd maybe slide one of those linebackers down, maybe try to run a 4-3 instead of a 3-4, get a little bit more support on the interior line to stop runs like this.
And nothing much going on there now. So that stop on first down could prove futile for the Rocks. 3rd and 9.
Brings up 3rd and 9 for the Eagles.
Just under 9 minutes to go. Rocks need a stop. Both lines are loaded. They're going to pass, though. Bargan goes out, throws it. Out of bounds. The passing struggles continue. Both teams have
Pass was incomplete, brings up 4th
failed to
down.
do much passing the ball.
Looks like on the play, Santana Smith might have tipped the ball or something happened. He was holding his hand as he walks off. Looks like he's okay. Glad to see that.
4th down. Eagles are going for it. This could be the make or break play of the game. And a flag as the Rocks
play.
jumped.
Encroachment's the call.
Encroachment, so it's going to be
Against Rock
4th
Island.
and 4. Teddy, this is probably, up to this point, the biggest play of the ballgame.
Makes it 4th and 4.
I agree. I think if you're Rock Island, you definitely got to load up on D-line, try to stop.
At the 14-yard
They've been
line.
able to get these, Dunlap's been able to get these 4-yard runs all game, so if you can stop just one and force them to pass, which they've been struggling with throughout this game, probably be your best bet. But Dunlap is looking with a 4 wide receiver set, showing pass, but you never know with this team.
Here they go. They are going to pass. Bargan to the end zone. Incomplete. They wanted a flag. Didn't look like there was much contact there in the Rocks. Stop them. Wow.
Not what I was expecting, but got to give them credit, still sticking with the pass game, even though it hasn't been as successful as they might have hoped. But for the Rocks, that's a perfect opportunity. You still have 8 minutes left in this game. That's enough to drive down the field and get another possession as well later in the game.
That probably right there from the Rocks defense was the ultimate definition of bend, don't break. You get an interception, immediately turn it over on the same play, and then once again stop them on a turnover on downs. Give your offense a chance. Clark Pugh rolls out. He's going to look to run, and he'll get back to about the line of scrimmage. Maybe a designed run play there.
It looked like there were some receivers trying to get open downfield. before he ran out of bounds. I hope that's what Rock Island goes for, because when they have sent receivers downfield, obviously there's the 2 incompletions down on the left side of field, but they've looked pretty solid, and Clark Pugh has had flashes and gotten to show his such a strong and accurate arm. He just needs a little bit of time, and he can maybe make those throws.
Second and 11. Clark Pugh gonna throw. He's got some time. Now pressured. Over to the flat. Hits his man Overton. Stays on his feet. He's gonna get a few more yards. And he'll get up for a gain. See where he gets to. Hard to tell here on the near side with the bench. It's going to be a first down, so Rock's moving in the right direction.
Nice play there. He's been very accurate on the run in this game, as we mentioned previously.
They have to pass now. I feel like we're going to see very few runs. GK Tar was hurt. He's back out there now. Wasn't anything serious. 4 receivers. Clark Pugh has to shift out of trouble. Over. Was it intercepted?
I think Rock Island will hold on to possession of
Catch.
the ball.
Overton.
Just got a little bit of inside leverage on that one, battling for it.
And probably hard to tell from our angle, just again here on the near side with so many players on the bench. But there was 2 players that caught that. Overton ultimately came out with the football for a gain of about 8.
And although we're only a few plays in, this is the strongest their offense has looked so far, at least passing-wise. Scrambles to the outside again.
Throws it deep, wobbly ball, and it's going to be out of bounds.
Rock Island seems to think they caught it, but
well out of bounds. Neogashima just could enough to catch it, just was not in the playing field.
this is a much more dangerous looking Rock Island offense, though.
Because now they feel like whether it's desperation or they're just hitting the gas pedal or a combination of both, Rock Island is not playing back anymore. They're going full throttle. It's time to let her rip. 5-man front for the Eagles. They rush 5. They will hand it off this time. Samuelson gets it. They're going to try to get a first down. It's going to be close. It's going to be, it looks like going to be 4th and short. 4th and 1. Of course, going for it.
Now it's a tough play call, though. Do you go pass, which has worked with you so far this drive, or do you go run, which has been very shut down at this point in the game? You got a yard to go, but that is a long yard, I will say.
It's probably about 1.5 yards almost. It's going to be a full line.
The biggest play of the game right now.
The box is stacked. They take the snap. Up the middle. Tar gets it. Breaks off a man. Still going. And he'll have more than enough for a first down. What a big run from GK Tar.
Of all of the plays he could have gotten a good run, that was the best one to have it in. The pass game has been what they've been working with so far, but they needed just 1 yard, 1.5 yards to get that first down, and it's exactly what they did. So Tar, got to give him credit in crutch time.
One of the more clutch plays we've seen in this ballgame. Under 7 to go. Time's the ticket. 50-yard line. Rock's trying to figure something out.
Timeout on the field, Dunlap.
Timeout Dunlap, and Brett Cazalet is a little frustrated. I think the defense is not where they wanted to set it at.
You know, Gavin, if this drive reminds me of anything, I recently watched the Netflix documentary about Johnny Manziel, and his first game as a Texas A&M player, he struggled a little bit and wasn't able to play his style. After that, I believe it was Kyle Shanahan was the offensive coordinator over there at that time, and let Johnny Manziel play his way. And so far, that's what looks like Javion Clark Pugh has been able to do on this drive. He's playing his way, being creative with the ball, and he's making stuff happen. Obviously, being able to trust your run game on play like that helps as well. like we mentioned, this is a really good offensive drive for the Rocks.
Need to score, though. Time is becoming one of the main enemies. And 2 scores to get just to tie this ball game up. Midfield for the Rocks. They take it. Clark Pugh, quick throw, outside, bobbled. Niyogashima can't haul it in, and that was a good throw, just couldn't haul it in.
The Eagles JV will play Monday at Rock Island, 5 o'clock. JV team is 1-0 after a home win this week over Galesburg, 26-0.
Tough turn of events right there. That would have been close to a first down, but clock stays stopped. Only took a few seconds off.
I think with something like that, you don't want to let it get to you too much. You still saw an open man and a possibility of getting a few yards. Got 2 wide receivers on the left side of the field.
Look like they're going to set for a run. They will. Here's Tar. He's met quickly, turns the legs, and will get about 4.
Tar the carry.
3rd and 6. And again, 4 down territory the rest of the way.
Pick up a couple.
Without a doubt.
3rd and 6 for the Rocks. Ball is at the Eagle 40.
We've really yet to see a deep shot connect for either side. No long passes. But 4 receivers out now for the Rocks. Wonder if they go deep here. They take it. Short pass. Taken, and it's Overton, and he'll get maybe a yard. 4th and 5, and now, once again, the biggest play of the game coming up.
This one's a lot more intriguing than the last 4th down. The last one, you're only about a yard away. Now, you got 5 yards to go. It's a lot harder to try to run that ball. This could be.
Bucks at 4th down, and they're going for it again.
Looks like it might. I'm predicting a pass play on this one, Gavin. Looks like we will. 4 wide receivers set.
Look for a short pass. There's really nobody deep. No safeties. 7-man box, and a flag is thrown. It's going to be a false start. Ouch. What a hurting play right there, as it'll back him up. 4th and 10.
You know, Gavin, I think obviously you don't want that to happen, but 4th and 10, letting that defense spread out a little bit might help you in a way to might help you to find an open man. When it's within 4 yards, it's a lot harder because the safeties, like you mentioned, they're pushed up. Nobody's dropping back, but maybe you get a little bit more room on the 10-yard play.
Just got to see what you can dial up here in the huddle. But while we've got a quick break, maybe you're thinking about dialing up something for dinner. How about you dial Domino's phone number? Check out your local area Domino's location. 2 locations in Rock Island, 1 close to here in North Peoria. Domino's.com also features many great specials and deals, including $1.99 cheesy bread. That sounds like a steal to me. So if you want some late night food, some post-game meal action, Domino's is your choice. Also by Adam Merrick Realty. If you're selling a home, your first call's got to be Adam Merrick. Adam is the only agent in today's market to put his money where his mouth is. If you can't sell your home in 59 days, Adam's going to buy it. Taking all the stress and pressure off of you, you can sell your house with confidence with Adam Merrick. Go to adammerrick.com. Also, CSM Overtime. Having a flash sale. If you didn't hear about it already, subscribe to Clutch Sports Media Overtime. 4th and 10. Throw over the middle. Bounced off a man, and it's going to be incomplete. Dunlap makes the stop. And a bit anticlimactic as the Rocks go sedentary on the 50-yard line.
Folks, let me introduce you to our varsity cheerleaders. The seniors are Chloe Push, Mia Thorpe, Emily Ramos.
And they do not do anything further.
Haley Barlow.
And now it's just going to be time to chew the clock. If you're Dunlap, I would expect, although they've surprised us so far, I would expect to see no passing.
I would imagine the same thing. Obviously, you want to build the confidence of your sophomore quarterback, but in a situation like this where you're trying to get away with the win, definitely just stick with your dominant run game.
Oldham up the middle, gonna get some yardage, just falling forward and kind of breaking into that second level is where he's had the most success when he's not met right in the first group. Puts his head down, gains some good yardage.
I will say, though, really heartbreaking there for the Rocks, but going into next week, there's a lot to build on there. You saw a lot, especially in that last drive. Javion Clark-Pugh proved to be a future star or a current star for the Rocks, and even got a little bit of their running game going.
Flag is thrown. But a good point there, Teddy. He's come a long way, lost big last week at home, 42-7. Although the offense has still been a little slow and hasn't really gotten the production that they would like. If nothing else, you can say, hey, our defense got better. We made some plays. Let's just wrap it up into one package and play a complete football game.
Absolutely. If you eliminate those two, obviously you got to give credit to for Kendall Netters for the 2 rushing touchdowns. But other than that, it's a very even game, and Rock Island's secondary was elite all day long, eliminating the pass entirely. But also that proves a lot for Dunlap as well, being able to win without that much of a passing game and just being able to run the ball and put a pretty cushion on the lead.
If the Rocks can maintain a stop here, they will have time with the ball back. It would take probably at this point down 2 scores. It's going to take a hefty effort to get back into this one. But I've seen crazier things happen. 3rd down. Eagles in no hurry. 10 on the play clock. Oldham remains in the backfield. I would imagine he's going to run the ball. 6 in the box. 1 man drops back. It is Oldham. He goes up the middle, fighting forward, and he's going to have enough for a first down. And I can't help but think maybe Rock Island misplayed that one a little bit. Maybe they were expecting to get tricked, but Dunlap said, no, we're just going to go with the run.
I really don't think there's any reason to not go with the run. It's just been so consistent. I wouldn't even say, I mean, it has been dominant, but just consistent is such a great word to put on it. They've been able to get 4 or 5 yards out of Oldham every play, and then when they need to bust a 51-yard attempt as well, you get Kendall Netters to put away his breakaway speed that he possesses.
First down, as they're going to chew every last second off the clock. Oldham pushes a blocker in front of him and will stumble forward for about 5 yards. Timeout, Rock Island.
Hold him up the middle.
This will be a last resort effort to try and get something going with 2:31. Again, probably going to be a little out of reach for the Rocks. But once again, Teddy, some positive things they can take back home to Rock Island. Dunlap's got a good showing in the first week of the season, or rather second week of the season. They're 2.5 minutes from going 2-0. And speaking of going 2-0, let's check out what some other teams have done. A barn burner, literally a barn burner, Morton Rochelle. Morton escapes with a 1-point victory, moving to 2-0, 27-26. Down at halftime, outscored the Hubs in the second half. The Hubs made it a game. Richwoods up 24-12 over Springfield Southeast. That's in the 4th quarter. Centennial turn on the afterburners at Manual 35-8. Belleville East defeats Pekin 34-14. Final from Washington 7-3. That's a defensive battle if I've ever seen one. Fumble. The ball is out. Rocks think they have it. waiting for the signal. The Rocks do get it.
Play recovered by Rock Island.
So any chance that Rocky, as we're busy over here discussing other final scores, Rocky just forced a turnover.
Now, I'm not going to say there's a great chance,
But there is a chance.
but there is a chance. And as a lot of Dunlap fans are starting to leave and feel pretty confident, looks like the Rock Island fans have stayed put. Who knows? We've seen crazier things in a 14-point comeback.
This could be, you get a 1 or 2 play touchdown, you change the scope of this game. 3 receivers, 2 in the backfield next to Clark Pugh. Clark Pugh takes it, throws it deep. What they're thinking, but it's going to be way overthrown. He's got a bit of a cannon and dialed it up a little too much. But I think at this point, you see the game plan, we're going for 50-50 balls.
What a throw that was, though. You got to give him credit. Absolute bomb.
Just a little too early. Throwing it maybe a second or two later, his man would have been right there.
Like we said, though, growing pains. This is second start as a varsity quarterback. He looked pretty good here tonight.
Same formation as the last play. Clark Pugh facing the pressure, goes deep again. Overthrows his man by about 10 or 15 yards. I mean, you're missing your man, but like almost impressively.
I would agree. I think the two that he had earlier, either the start of the second quarter or maybe the early third, where they were incomplete down the sidelines, but they were very much on the money. I think maybe he's thinking about it too much, but you can see that he has the ability. He's been very accurate all night long, and he can just get one of those to land, and it can be an entirely different ball game for the last 2 minutes and 15 seconds.
They go with yet another similar formation to what they've run the last 2 plays. Clark Pugh going for it. Loads up again over the middle. This one's going to be intercepted. Eagles will run it back. Flag was dropped back. Eagles still have it. Still going, and he'll finally be tackled.
Dietz on the interception.
Dietz with the INT. And that's kind of the risk you take. You know, not, of course, he threw the interception, but that's just kind of what you need to do. Just throw the ball, let it air it out, and Dietz ball hawks it.
First down and 10 at the Rock 38-yard line.
Gotta say, there's definitely some very entertaining parts of this game. And Dunlap, as we mentioned before, all they got to do is run it out, but who knows, maybe we see another fumble or a turnover. But that being said, this one pretty much all wrapped up for Dunlap to go 2-0, and for the Rocks to grab some positives from this game. Definitely showed strength.
Starting the season 0-2 isn't ideal. Joe Weeks barreling through his first carry of the game. And he'll get a first down on his first run.
Joe Weeks, one of the best parts of the defense last week. 6 tackles and I believe a forced fumble in there as well. One of the keys to their 54-14 win.
Weeks will get it though, but Rock Island not ideal, starting 0-2. You know, can't really sugarcoat it too much, but gotta say, you know, even with a younger, very new look Rocky team, I think that there's a lot to be excited about. Javion Clark Pugh really impressed me this evening. He's got some good skills for the future, just gotta keep honing them in. Weeks again, and he'll be met quite a bit quicker this time.
Down to the 25-yard line.
And time will just about run out as we get down to about a minute, and Rocky will concede. Barring a chunk play right here, Teddy, it looks like we're going to have a final score 21-7.
No, I don't think it was Dunlap's idea to just not score in the second half. They didn't have a great lead. They had a great first half, but maybe try to cushion up that a little bit. So you got to give credit to Rock Island. Dunlap has obviously tried to score, but they've shut him out here in the second half and gave him a touchdown back. But so far, altogether, you got to include that first half, and they we're the better team tonight.
Weeks of the carry.
Dunlap did enough to get the job done, but Brett Caslett probably has a few things he wants to clean up with his team heading into MIC play. Can they get a bit of a easier slate early in the conference schedule? Pekin is their first test. That's not going to be an easy one, but for now, Dunlap will celebrate going 2-0.
Make some noise for your Dunlap Eagles.
And
Thank you
the
for
handshake
supporting
line
Dunlap
will
High School football and have a
line
safe
up.
trip home. Good night.
21-7, your final thank you to Rodrigo. Caden doing a great job on our camera upstairs. Thanks to him, his first Clutch Sports Media broadcast. Hopefully to have him come back soon. Teddy will be back soon. We've got some more great games coming up here on CSM and CIProud.com. Make sure to stay tuned to our social media platforms, Instagram, Twitter, now referred to as X, Facebook, and our website, ClutchSportsIL.com. For now, we're going to sign off from Dunlap. Eagles, winners, move to 2-0 on the season. as they defeat the Rocks of Rock Island 21-7. Have a good evening, everybody, and we'll see you in Week 3.